and Jay Lethal. So they are going 1-on-1. I don't know quite how we're going to do this or how they're going to present this. I'm not expecting tonight to be like a whole tribute show. I think it's going to largely be a normal Dynamite, and then we get like that as a match, and that is something that, you know, that's when we will talk about Jay Briscoe, pay respects, and then I think we'll sort of just carry on then with the normal Dynamite. I think, look, it's a big surprise that the network have allowed this. Up until just the other day, Dave Meltzer was reporting that the network weren't interested in having Mark Briscoe on their channel. So no one was really expecting this going back like 72 hours ago. And then, of course, it broke just the other day that they had changed their mind and they were going to allow Mark Briscoe on. So brilliant that that's happening, of course. It does mean that this is probably going to be quite a heavy stream at times. Like, it's just heavy stuff, innit? It's just heavy stuff. So, this is what I'm saying. I don't know how they're going to play it. I don't know what they're going to do. So we'll have to just have to wait and see. Let's just have a quick look before we jump in the chat. Hello. Let's just have a look and see what they've got in regards to the lineup for tonight so that we can know what to expect. Here is the graphic for tonight. So this is why I'm saying I think it won't be like a tribute show, because the graphics that are coming out, they're not like all Jay Briscoe. It's not like a big Jay Briscoe image and then Mark Briscoe's at the top and then you've got a few other matches at the bottom. Like, it's just one of the things that's on tonight. So, I don't know. This is what makes it so hard what to know, what to expect. But, for example, we're still getting the Acclaimed and the Gunns family therapy. That's going to be a comedy segment. So, I'm guessing that's going to be fun and funny. And then, JungleHook taking on Ethan Page, Matt Hardy, Brian Cage against Bryan Danielson, Toni Storm against Ruby Soho, TNT title match. Like, this still largely feels like a normal episode of Dynamite. So, yeah, again, I know I keep repeating myself. Hard to know what to expect, but I think that it's probably largely going to be a normal Dynamite with the Mark Briscoe match in there, and that's where we will pay our respects to Jay Briscoe. But let's go through what we've got. So we've got Jericho and Sammy taking on Ricky Starks and Action Andretti. That is in a tag match. We've got Darby Allin defending against Buddy Matthews, which we haven't seen in the House of Black in a hot minute. So interesting to see them back. JungleHook taking on Ethan Page and Matt Hardy. We've got Toni Storm taking on Ruby Soho. Apparently, Britt Baker was meant to be in that, but apparently she's got an injury that she's dealing with. So that has now just become Toni Storm against Ruby Soho. Mark Briscoe against Jay Lethal, of course. I don't know what they're doing with the Ring of Honor World Tag titles. It doesn't matter. Of course, it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, I don't know what they're going to do with those belts. That's for a different time. Ring of Honor 6-man champion, Brian Cage. He is going up against Bryan Danielson. Danielson, of course, having to win every week to get his hands on MJF. And then we've got the World Tag Team Champs, the Acclaimed and the Gunns family therapy. So I don't really know what to expect in that segment as well. Comedy, I think. Let's jump over. Awesome Wrestling Wide. Shout out to you. Appreciate the support, my friend. Said, what do you think will happen at the Rumble? Have you seen that Santino Marella is in Impact? I did see that. I don't watch Impact personally. I always like Santino in WWE. His appointment in Impact, though, is not going to get me to be a regular viewer of Impact. I like Santino. I liked it. I mean, I don't know about him as a person. It could be that he's an awful person. I have no idea. But I enjoyed him when he was in WWE. But him being in Impact, I mean, he was always good at the comedy, in my opinion. Being good at comedy in wrestling, I think, is very hard. I think that we see a lot of bad comedy in wrestling. I think that you've got to have a certain personality in order to be able to deliver comedy the right way. I think you see it being delivered the right way by the likes of R-Truth. I think Santino had that as well. And, we've seen a lot of people that just can't do it. We've seen a lot of people that just aren't very good at it and don't have the right personalities for it. Kurt was excellent at it as well, actually. Kurt Angle. He was always good in those kind of comedy moments with backstage with Brock or with Edge. He was always very good at that. Just like on Monday when he was in with DX, he was doing some great like deadpan stuff about how he always wanted to be in DX and whatever. And he was always very good at it. But I feel that way about Santino. I think Santino is very good. And how you use him at this stage, I really don't know. I'm guessing not an active wrestler, more a GM or something. I don't know. I don't know what you would do with him. So yeah, bit of a strange one, but one that I hope works out. I really like him. In regards to the Rumble, what do we think happened at the Rumble? Well, there is a Royal Rumble predictions video up, and that's probably going to go in more details than I'm going to be able to here. I think for me, largely Cody and Rhea make sense. I think Rhea is someone that is a multiple-time women's champion in waiting. She's already won a women's championship. She beat Asuka to be the Raw Women. I think it was the Raw Women's Champion. But she's not someone that's really troubled the title scene since. She's been involved in like some tag teams. She's obviously been doing the Judgment Day stuff. Sort of feel like 2023 should be the year that she gets back to a world title. Obviously, we don't need to do that quickly. We can do that around SummerSlam any point this year. But I feel like she should be back troubling the world champions again. So I think her against Bianca is the match to make. I sort of feel like her and Bianca, and maybe it's not so true anymore, but I feel like her against Bianca is sort of like Lita and Trish in the sense of, for me, those are the two front runners of this generation. And the reason why I say that's maybe not true anymore is because we do have Raquel Rodriguez, who has got a great size. She's, very good in the ring. I don't know that she's not settled on the main roster yet. She's still a bit green in that regards. I don't know that she's quite found herself, found her footing. I think she's there or thereabouts. When she was down in NXT, she was doing like a cowgirl gimmick and then like went through this big evolution and obviously went on to become a long reigning, very successful NXT women's champion. So I think she has sort of established a bit of a footing. I think she has got a good idea as to who she is. But I just don't think we've kind of settled down with her yet. We're still in that kind of welcome to the main roster stage. But we're clearly there with Rhea. We're clearly there with Bianca. For me, those are the two front runners of this generation. To Liv, or they might want to point to, as I said, Raquel, or they might want to point to, I don't know who else there is, to be honest. I mean, I feel like Becky, Sasha, Bailey, I know they're still around and they've got many years left in the tank, but sort of feel like they're the previous generation. Like, if you think that Becky and Bailey, they were coming up around 2015, 2016, it's 2023 now, right? I mean, time flies. This is a different generation. So I kind of feel like the people that maybe like, a Candice, but I don't know. I feel that Bianca and Rhea are really out on their own. I really feel like right now they are the Trish and the Lita of this current generation. And, Bianca's had fantastic success, but we just haven't seen it yet for Rhea. So I've got Rhea winning the Rumble. I think the Mammy thing is really fun. Her and Dominic's relationship's really fun. Her in the Judgment Day has worked really well. There's just nothing to wait for. Just pull the trigger. Let's go. Let's do Bianca Rhea at WrestleMania. It'd be monster. And then Cody. I mean, it's a bit of a boring answer in it, really. But Cody is definitely the one that, since he got injured, as soon as he got injured and we knew that he was out for a long time, I think immediately we all go, okay, he's going to be out for 6 months? It's May, June that he went. 6 months time, Rumble. That's it. Rumble. That's how it works. You go, carry the one, Rumble. And then you go, right, okay, he'll win the Rumble. So I felt pretty good up until the other week when there was rumors of The Rock winning the Rumble. I had no doubt in my mind that Cody was winning it. Now there is a little bit of doubt because I genuinely don't know if The Rock's going to be there. I actually put a poll on Twitter earlier today asking people, will The Rock be at the Rumble? And it's pretty close to 50-50. I think it's like 56-44. It's really close. Over 600 odd votes. And again, if you've watched the channel for a while, you'll know as soon as we get over like 250, that's a good enough sample size, because anything beyond that, just like it doesn't really move the numbers that much. We've had polls on our UFC streams that have got to like 50,000 votes, and they're not drastically different from once we got a couple of hundred votes in. So it seems like once you get a couple of hundred votes, that's a pretty good sample size. So 600 odd votes, that's good enough for me to know that, yeah, people are quite split on this. It's about 56% think that he will, 44% think that he won't. I haven't actually seen it now in the past few hours, so I don't know where it is, but that's roughly where it was. So yeah, it's going to be quite close. I think if The Rock's in it, I think he wins it. I don't know that I could see like Roman coming down and eliminating him or whatever, but you could do that story. You know, if The Rock comes in, you could have Roman and the Bloodline jumping into the ring like a pack of hounds trying to eliminate The Rock because they definitely don't want him winning. You could go that way, and ultimately it could build to Rock Roman without Rock winning the Rumble. But I have to think it's probably more likely that if The Rock's going to go to the effort of getting into the Rumble, they're going to have The Rock win the Rumble. So I'm going to still stick with Cody. Cody's been my pick since he got injured, all the way back last year. I'm going to stick with him. Awesome Wrestling Wide said, you are an inspiration. Keep up the UFC and wrestling show. That's very kind, buds. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. I hope life is treating you well, my friends. TJB said, Uncle Howdy versus Cody, last two in the Rumble. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that we will see. There's been a lot of talk about Fiend, Howdy, Funhouse Bray, all of these different personas being in the Rumble. You can absolutely do that, but I don't know that this is the year to do that, to be honest. I sort of feel like Bray is on a path. He's telling a story. He is locked in with LA Knight at the moment. His focus isn't winning a Rumble. His focus isn't trying to get to the main event of WrestleMania. His focus is trying to figure out who he is. That's like, and that in a way is bigger than a title. Like the story that he's telling is very personal to him, and it's all about him trying to revel in who he is, remember who he is. There's a real battle going on seemingly within Bray. You know, there's constant different personalities trying to gain control. I think there is a gentle side to Bray that came back who I think wants to be in control. But I think that is also a side of him that's losing the battle at the moment. And so we're seeing all these different sides of Bray. It massively opens the possibility of having Uncle Howdy and having The Fiend and having Funhouse Bray and all of these in the Rumble. I just personally don't think this is the year for it. I think like next year you could do it. But I think this year, I think you could see those personalities. But of course, in the Pitch Black match. I think in the Pitch Black match, it makes a lot more sense to show them there and show that he is capable of just switching personalities. I don't know how you present it. I mean, I know that people would want those personalities to show themselves fully dressed, right? You know, if you want the Fiend, you don't just want him acting like the Fiend, you want him to look like the Fiend. If you want Funhouse Bray, you don't want him just acting like Funhouse Bray. You want him to look like Funhouse Bray. So I understand that people are going to want him to basically, go into the shadows, step out, and he's going to look like Finesse Bray. Go in the shadows, step out, he's going to look like the Fiend. Where I struggle with that is that, that obviously brings in big supernatural elements because he's going to have to change clothes, isn't he? Like immediately. And that's just the side of it where I'm going to struggle. I don't know quite how you present it. I don't know how you present it. I must admit, I'm going into it optimistic. I'm going into it with intrigue because I don't know what a pitch black match is. I mean, I feel like it's probably going to be pitch black with neon elements, which is the report. They're saying, I think it was Fightful said neon elements. So, and I'd imagine that the crowd will hold up their phones and that might provide a little bit of light, But other than that, the lights go out. And then obviously they're going to use, some lighting and whatever to just like selective lighting, the neon elements or whatever. They're going to use those to make sure that we see the bits we need to see. And I really do expect him to kind of emerge from the darkness as these different personas. But as I said, I do go into it with a bit of hesitancy because, again, if you've been watching this channel a long time, cards on the table. I am someone that watches wrestling, that enjoys watching two people battle to prove they are the better person, right? I enjoy watching Gunther versus Roman Reigns. Who's the best? Put them in a ring. Let's work it out. If there's outside interference, that's wrestling, right? But where I struggle is where someone has got magical powers and can change clothes and change attires and disappear and all this kind of stuff like that. That loses me. So I kind of am going into it with a bit of like, bit of concern. Like I really want to like Bray and the story and everything that's happening. And it's been fine up until this point. I've really enjoyed it. White Rabbit was immense. White Rabbit was brilliant. I think the Uncle Howdy stuff has been a bit of a step down from that, but it hasn't been like an epic failure or an epic disaster. What we saw with Bray and Undertaker the other day, that was super captivating. So yeah, I mean, it's been really good. But yeah, I'm going into that match with a little bit of like, gods. Oh, I don't know if it's going to appeal. What I would say though is that we've seen that the Fiend and we've seen that Bray has gone into that kind of supernatural stuff in the past, right? The stuff that's happened, like when he's gone into the back of an ambulance and then immediately come out as the Fiend, right? Or we've seen him change attire mid-match, right? So we've seen that he's done that before. So if it does happen, the only thing I will say is that my reaction will just be, nah, it's not for me. I won't rant and rave or anything like this about it because we've seen it. It's not going to be a surprise. It's not going to be something that's going to catch me off guard. It's not going to be something that's going to massively upset me now because, well, we've been there. We've been down that road. I know that road exists. We've been down it. You know what I mean? So what will be, will be. But I really want to like it. I really want to like it. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they come up with. But yeah, good. I mean, look, Raw 30 was great. What with Undertaker and that little moment they shared. I thought that was really good. I was thinking, I wonder if that was better than Bray beating up Undertaker. Because I think a lot of people probably wanted Undertaker to be attacked by Uncle Howdy or to be attacked by Bray. But I actually think that moment was probably more poignant. I think the fact that, like, Undertaker had a word. I mean, like, Undertaker's goated, of course. He went over and just had a word with Bray. And that image is all over social media. And I think it's a very powerful image. It's a very powerful image. It's an image of just like, what's good as well is that even though there are some very strong thoughts as to what Undertaker said, we don't 100% know. But there's some good theories as to what Undertaker said. But in a way, it sort of allows you to make your own mind up as to what was said, You can sort of fill in the blanks. Undertaker very much could have said, this is your yard now. Like, something along those lines, And I've seen a lot of people saying that was like a passing of the torch moment. Truth is, we don't quite know if it was a passing of the torch moment, but it feels like it was a passing of the torch moment. And I think Undertaker put a tweet out as well afterwards. Put a tweet out saying, like, this industry is built on moments, and this was an important one. So even Undertaker told us that moment was important, and clearly important to him. So I can't imagine he said, "You'll never be as good as me." Right? I can't imagine he said that. I would imagine he said something like, "You've got the ball now. It's your time now." Something along those lines. So, yeah, I actually think that was probably better than an old, already retired Undertaker getting beaten up, because I don't know that would have really achieved much. I mean, he's retired. He's an old guy now. You're beating up an old retired Undertaker. You're not beating up the guy that was in his prime, Whereas this was, I think, a bit more poignant. So, yeah, interesting. Melissa said Undertaker was taking care of Bray from the backstage area. LSW said a lot of people are against Howdy versus Bray at WrestleMania. For me, I'm fine with it as long as it's done right. Why can't it be credible wrestling match between Bray and whoever is revealed to be Howdy? A lot of people are against Howdy versus Bray at WrestleMania. For me, I'm fine with it as long as it's done right, and it's credible. Yeah, I think. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with Bray versus Uncle Howdy. I think where people have a problem with it is because we still don't know who Uncle Howdy is, and there's a belief that I share that Uncle Howdy has been Bray. Now, it's not been Bray all the time, right? It's not been Bray all the time, but it has been Bray at times. I keep coming back to it. That there's a few moments. The one that really sticks in my mind in particular is when LA Knight went backstage to the dressing room, the locker room. He was looking for Bray. Lights went out, turned around, and the masked person was there. It's when he got kidnapped, right? You can see the outline of the person, and that person looks like they've got Bray's body shape to me. They really it looks like Bray's body shape. And that to me feels like it was Bray. That doesn't feel to me like that was Bo Dallas. That one felt like to me like it was Bray. And also, when we've been hearing Uncle Howdy talk at times, that's also felt to me like it's been Bray. I know that Bo does a good impression of Bray, but having listened to Bo's impression and listened to, Uncle Howdy, I don't think that they're the same. I think that it has been Bray at times. So I feel like clearly there's someone other than Bray involved, because we've seen someone coming into the ring at the same time. I'm just not sold that it's always been that same person. I don't think that's the same person that we've seen attacking LA Knight backstage. I don't think that's the same person that's doing the voice in the videos. We keep seeing different masks as well. We're having to call Uncle Howdy. We're having to say Uncle Howdy for a lot of different masks. You've got the one that's the full face mask, the guy that comes out, like laughs in the entranceway. You've got the one that's kind of cut, where you can see more of the guy's face in the ring. We call that Uncle Howdy. You've got the kind of more computer-generated one. We call that Uncle Howdy. They're selling a mask of that on WWE Shop, and they're selling it as an Uncle Howdy mask. So I feel like that's been a bit of a drawback of the story, to be honest. If I was to find criticisms, I would say that it's been a bit complicated, the story, in the sense of we still don't know, even now after all these months, how many Howdies are there? Like, why are there different masks? Are these like just little changes that we're not meant to notice? But then the details are always so important with Bray. When it comes to Bray, this is what people love. They love looking at the shirt. What's the design on the shirt? What's he wearing? What's the lighting like? What's the music like? What's the lyrics to the music? Like, everyone reads into every detail because normally the details have been looked after. And I feel like they've probably been looked after here as well. But I don't know. There's just so many questions, isn't there? It's like, how many Howdys are there? Why are there all these different masks? Why have we got like clearly different masks all being referred to as Uncle Howdy? Why has that not been addressed? Why has LA Knight not questioned this? Why has this not come up in a promo yet about, who are these people? Like, why is the person on, who is that person on screen? That's not the person that attacked him backstage. It's a different mask. So, like, but we haven't explored any of that. And I think, like, because it's been a little messy and it's not just been the same person all the time, I think that kind of has affected the impact of the story a little for me. But again, it's not like I'm not laying into it. I'm just saying that I think if we were to be a bit critical of it, I think we could have made it a bit tidier. Hopefully we get to a point where it comes out what's actually been happening and it's super satisfying. It'd be brilliant if it comes out that, like, they have all been different people and they all call themselves Uncle Howdy because they all subscribe to the same mentality or something along these lines, and that's what LSW is saying. LSW saying, like, there's no problem with doing Bray versus Uncle Howdy. If Uncle Howdy is going to be like a separate person, turns out to be Bo. I mean, basically, it would be the same as doing Bo versus Bray. And, that would be fine. But I do think that Bray has been at Uncle Howdy at some points. We even saw when he came back him wearing an Uncle Howdy mask. So, like, we know that he's already affiliated with it somehow. But it's messy, and even trying to talk about it without showing all the different images, it can get a bit messy and confusing. Wrestle with Andy said, it's been over 4 months since we started getting the White Rabbit stuff. How long do you think is too long before we move forwards? Well, that's been another bit of a problem, really, to be honest. I think that there are people that wanted to get to a match very quickly. I think there's people that love the Fiend and have wanted the Fiend, and we haven't had the Fiend. I think that there's people that have wanted to see Bray, being the monster. Even Bray said that himself. You want me to be the monster, and want to see him like attacking people backstage and doing all this kind of stuff. We've sort of been getting that, but we've been getting it in a bit of a confusing way, in the sense of it's been Uncle Howdy that's been doing it. But as I said, it's not the Uncle Howdy that we've been told is Uncle Howdy. It's not the Uncle Howdy that comes out laughing in the entranceway. So I can understand people getting a bit like, oh, I need some answers. Do you know what I mean? I need some answers. I need some clarity. I need something to get my teeth into. And I think there's been times where we've had that throughout the story. So that's why I'm saying the story's not been like an epic fail. Because, there's been times where we've had those answers and the story has progressed and moved forwards. But it's just going to vary in it as to whether you think it's progressed at a good enough speed or not. For me personally, I think it would have been fine if the Pitch Black match had been at, say, TLC. I think maybe we've just had to stretch it out a little bit longer because there wasn't a December pay-per-view. Had there been a December pay-per-view, then maybe we could have done the Pitch Black match there. But because there wasn't day one or there wasn't TLC, it's meant that what we've been building towards has had to stretch out. And not only that, I think we also did a segment at Crown Jewel that I think they probably weren't planning on doing. If you watch the Crown Jewel Bray Wyatt segment, it very much feels like a SmackDown segment. So that makes me think that what we got on SmackDown, say, the week after, that was probably just completely made up, like, oh, we just need something. I do believe that we have, for various reasons, I think we have had to stretch this out longer, really, than we would have wanted. I think in an ideal world, we would have gone bang, 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 bang. Then we get to day one, right? But I think we've had to, okay, the Saudis want Bray. Let's do something there, right? So that's meant we've had to stretch it out. Oh, we don't have day one. Okay, when's the next one? Rumble. Oh, God, okay, right. Well, stretch it out. And I think that where we've stretched it out, that's also caused a bit of a problem. But it doesn't matter, does it? I mean, look, Saturday we're there. It's done. We're at the pitch black match on Saturday. I think we're at the point where all the different personas are going to be seen. And I think after that, we should be able to move forward then. And I think that, it's been fine. I haven't seen anyone like really kicking off about it. I've just had people going, I'm a bit bored now. I wish it was a bit quicker. But as I said, we're at the Rumble now. Rumble on Saturday, so we're there. Jilly said, I want Bray to be in there and have a match, but not against LA Knight, because it means LA Knight has got to lose over Bray. I actually think LA Knight, though, is coming out of this a bigger star. If you think he wasn't really doing anything before, whereas now he's been getting loads of TV time. I think he's really shown that he can cut promos and that he can run with the ball. Give him the ball, give him TV time. Like, give him a story to get his teeth into. He's shown that he can do it. I mean, it's not the biggest surprise because, of course, it's Eli Drake, isn't it? We all know that he could do that. But, WWE is a different level. We're talking massive arenas. We're talking being on the road. We're talking, being involved in some heavy storyline stuff that you've got to not only remember where it's been, but also know where it's sort of going, have a rough idea, and know what you're trying to get across, what you're trying to communicate. And, it's trickier than it might seem with all the different moving parts of what's happening and everything. And he's killed it. So, yeah, I do agree. It's a shame that he's going to come out of this taking the L. I think we know he's taking the L. So take the L, move on, right? I mean, he is going to come out of this feud a bigger star than when he went into it, and can't really ask for much more than that, can you really? Ellis Stubbs said on commentary, Cole said they don't have a clue what the pitch black match is, first of all. Second of all, does that mean Mountain Dew know what it is? I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing. I don't know if the fact that they haven't said what it is good or bad. Part of me thinks you should really tell people what it is. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the fact you've booked a match and you've not told anyone what it actually is. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I don't know if I've ever gone into a match not actually knowing the specifics of what it is. There's been plenty of matches that we've seen for, like, the first Hell in a Cell, first ladder match, all these kind of things. But I feel like when we went into those, we had a rough idea as to what to expect. Hell in a Cell, we knew it was a structure. They were going to be locked inside. It was going to, completely go over the ring. It was going to have a roof. Like, we kind of got that detail. With this, like, I suppose roughly we know it's going to be pitch black, but I don't know. Now we're hearing about neon elements and there's no rules, and I don't know. Yeah, the other thing as well is I don't know where it came from because Bray never proposed it. One of the weird things about this match is that no one actually proposed it. No, Bray didn't say, I challenge you to a pitch black match. LA Knight didn't say, I'll challenge you to a pitch black match. What happened is they agreed to face against each other, and then it was announced it was going to be a pitch black match, as if we were meant to know. Even LA Knight doesn't know what that actually is. And so it's kind of crazy. Part of me thinks it's a bit mental to have a book a match and not tell anyone what it means. But then part of me also thinks, well, adds to the intrigue, doesn't it, really? We've all got our own little ideas as to what we're expecting, what we can visualize. And yeah, I suppose it adds to the intrigue. So I mean, look, it's going to be a massive match at the Rumble. It's one of those matches that people are really on board with, really intrigued by. I just hope that it can deliver. I hope it can reach what everyone has built up expectation-wise. Killer Shock said, who do you think will return at the Rumble? I think we'll get Rick Boogs. I think we'll get Asuka. Outside of that, Edge. I think we'll get a few people like that. I don't think we get Jay White. I don't think his contract is up until February. So for that reason, I don't think we get Jay White. I don't think we get Mercedes, Monet, or Sasha Banks. We might get Naomi, bit of an outsider. I think we'll probably get a fair few women's legends. And I think that's the reason as to why they weren't on Raw 30. What I will say is I didn't have a problem with the lack of women at Raw 30. Not because I hate women's wrestling. We've covered this. We spoke about it in detail yesterday. But I think that they're being saved for the Rumble. Now, if we get to the Rumble and there's really no women's legends on display, then I think questions could be asked as to, well, where were they at Raw 30? Because we had Alondra Blaze, and I think that was about it. Like, I can't really remember seeing anyone else. I think they did invite the Bellas, but the Bellas were busy or something, because the Bellas said they don't want us there, right? I can't figure this out. The Bellas said they don't want us there, but then they were invited because they were advertised. They were on a graphic. So I don't really get it. I don't really get what they're saying. Like, they're trying to keep us away. Like, they don't really want us there. But like, the Bellas have been at WrestleMania the other year. They've been in loads of Rumbles. Like, I feel like we've seen a fair bit of the Bellas in recent years. It's not like we haven't seen them for 5 years or anything. I don't get it. And the evidence doesn't stack up that they don't want them there. Do you know what I mean? I just sort of feel like something's happened and their noses have been put out of place for Raw 30. And it sort of feels like now they're venting about it, but there's no evidence to suggest that they haven't been wanted, because they've been in Rumbles and they've been around. So I don't really get it. But yeah, my thought is that we probably are saving a lot of women's legends for the Rumble. So if we don't get any women's legends in the Rumble, then I think it's probably fair to ask some questions as to what happened. Where were they all? I made the point. If you have them on Raw 30 and then you put them in the Rumble, it lessens the impact. If you have the likes of Molly Holly, Ivory, Kelly, Tori Wilson, Lita, Trish, whoever, right? If you have them on Raw 30 and then put them in the Rumble, it's like, it's not as big of a pop because you saw them just a few days ago on Raw 30. So I can sort of understand as to why they weren't around. But as I said, if they're not in the Rumble, then maybe something has gone a bit wrong. Killer Shock said Cody has already been announced for the Rumble. Definitely ruined the surprise. Yeah, I don't mind that, though, to be honest, because I sort of agree with what WWE have said. WWE apparently came out and spoke to the dirt sheet. Someone came out and said, well, to be honest, we sort of feel like everyone's expecting him. And I was expecting him. And I think, like, yeah. I think, like, it would have been one of those where it's like confirmation, right? Here he is, he's back. Cody's here. But it wouldn't have been a, oh my God, scream the place down, Cody's back type moment. I think we were all expecting him. And word is they're quite happy with the surprises they've got planned. So should be good. James said, Nikki, I'll sleep my way to the top. Bella, you mean? Whoa. Rick said, dirty to take free plane tickets and then dump on the person or company that gave them. Bellas have reached out to new viewers over the years, people who wouldn't have got into wrestling. Why wouldn't WWE want them back for Raw 30? Well, I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I really genuinely don't know what's gone on there because they were advertised. There's a graphic that shows them being advertised, and then my understanding is that they had been approached, but it hadn't been confirmed, and they couldn't get it confirmed, and so the Bellas ended up not being there. I don't know if they feel that they were reached out to too late, and they were annoyed at the fact that they weren't able to get their schedules correct or get their scheduling like where it needed to be. I don't know. I don't know what their beef actually is, but if WWE didn't want them there, why were they advertised? Like that suggests to me that they not only wanted them there, but they reached out to them as well. Unless that was just a complete botch, and someone made a graphic and put the Bellas on, and the Bellas had never even been contacted. But that's not my understanding as to what happened. So yeah, that was one of the more negative stories to come out of Raw 30. But I mean, look, it is what it is. It's been and gone. And I thought the show was great. I think I'm expecting plenty of women's legends to be in the Rumble. And as we said, if not, then maybe that's one that we revisit and we just do question then. Well, why wasn't there more female legends that were invited? I heard it was because of scheduling. Bella's had something else on the same night, said James. Connor from the Ascension has signed with Impact. He looks jacked. Okay. What happened with the Wrestling Escape Pod video? Don't know. What happened with it? Did it not go up? I was not around for it, unfortunately, so I haven't had a chance to watch it. Did it go up? Did it not go up? Has there been a botch? Let me have a little look. Escape pod video. Let's click on it. Premiere will begin shortly, 25th. Oh, don't know. I don't know. Looks like that's a glitch. Why did it do that? Is it still... I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It was set up to go live at that time, and it didn't. So, yeah, botch. I'll have to look into it. I'll have to go into that channel and see what the issue is, but should have aired. Should have aired. That's annoying, isn't it? That's annoying. I didn't even know. I can't go into it. If I go into it, I have to come out of this account and, we're live, aren't we? So I'll have to have a look at that afterwards. That's a shame because it's a good episode, actually. We do talk about the Pitch Black match. We talk a bit about the Rumble. We talk about Mountain Dew. We end up going on to some YouTube videos. It's actually a pretty fun episode. So I'll have to try and get that up. Melissa said, did you hear the rumor for WrestleMania? Roman Stone Cold? I did, yes. It's interesting. I have kind of put my thoughts on the second channel. So I don't really want to get too much into that because it's a bit spoilery in it. But it's interesting. Yeah, and it sort of hints at maybe The Rock not being confirmed, for example. So Wooly said, only MJF Darby without Sting, Britt and Ricky Starks are the only talent that have improved. Maybe their beef is with Vince, said Red Dog. Maybe. I don't know. They just seem like they're really got their noses out of joint over something. I couldn't quite dial down as to what it was. They were just doing I just saw the video clip. I'm sure you've all seen it as well, where they're just talking, saying like they don't want us there, and they talk about how Sasha's being erased and all this kind of stuff. The Sasha situation, though, she walked out on the company. They then tried to negotiate a new deal, apparently. Couldn't. She wanted, X amount of money. They weren't willing to go that far. And that was it. They couldn't reach an agreement, and that's it. Sasha went. Now, I sort of feel like it's a bit raw. It's a bit soon. It's a bit... I wasn't expecting to see anything to do with Sasha. I think, you've got enough there history-wise. And I can't even really think of, big Sasha moments. I mean, she's been a massive star for them, and no one would say she hasn't. But I think if we're celebrating the 30 years of Raw, we could probably come up with about 100 moments, if not more, in the history of Raw that don't include Sasha Banks. So I sort of feel like, yeah, you got to show off the women. You need to, praise the women and the journey that they've been on. I don't think we necessarily have to show Sasha, though, to be honest. That's not something... I didn't watch it and think, it's not as if, Sasha was Stone Cold. Do you know what I mean? Had we have not shown anything to do with Stone Cold, then you would have gone, where was the Stone Cold stuff? Or John Cena. You would have gone, oh, how did we not show anything John Cena? But I sort of feel like Sasha Banks is someone that we can tell... We can celebrate 30 years of Raw. I don't think we necessarily need to show any Sasha moments. I'm not being down on Sasha. I'm just being honest. I'm just saying, I didn't look at that show and see it as them erasing Sasha from history. But I can sort of understand them not wanting to showcase her or show off any of her moments in particular at the moment. It's all a bit raw, isn't it? It's all a bit raw. There's still bad tastes in people's mouths. They couldn't get the deal done. She walked out on them. They couldn't find a way forward. I could understand them going, you know what? But that's one side. Let's celebrate Raw. So yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling to agree with what the Bellas said, to be honest. But I don't know the full story. Dentist Toni, shout out to you. Toni said Britt had to go see the dentist. Do you know who did have to go and see the dentist? Charlotte Flair. Turns out that Charlotte has been away for so long because of dental problems. That was pretty interesting. So, how Charlotte has been away. I think last time we saw her was WrestleMania Backlash. So she'd been away since WrestleMania Backlash. And then we didn't know, where is she? She got married and then she just didn't return. Turns out that she's had dental issues. Don't know the specifics. But she's had dental issues for a long time, giving her a lot of trouble. And it was several procedures that were needed. And so she just got them sorted. But they were so severe, or it was so extreme, she could not be hit in the face or anything. She couldn't take any kind of any shots to the face or any couldn't get into any matches. So that's why she was away for so long. She was having all this dental work done, all this dental stuff. She said, from what I read, I think I read it on the Observer website, this is stuff that's been plaguing her for a long time. So she's got that sorted now. So that was interesting. Look, there was rumors doing the rounds that she might have had a miscarriage or something along those lines. So it's just great to know that it wasn't anything like that, and it was just dental stuff. That was all. But yeah, I think it was the sort of miscarriage stuff came from the fact that Andrade was well, I can't really say what's been going on, but when she's back, you'll find out. And it sort of felt oh, do you know what I mean? God, I hope everything's all right. Sort of felt like she was really dealing with some stuff. Turns out it's dental work, apparently. Big. You'll find out when she's back. I mean, I can't say, but geez, Andrade, come on, mate. It's only dental work. You could have told us that months ago. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's the truth. That's certainly what's being reported. But yeah, good. Glad it wasn't anything more severe. Brenton said, thoughts on why a female member hasn't been added to the bloodline to offset Rhea. I feel like there wasn't an option that wouldn't have been a dud, so it was tricky. Fair. I just don't think they need one. They don't need to offset Rhea because they haven't faced Judgment Day. We haven't had Usos against, well, we had Usos against Judgment Day in a one-off match, on Raw is 30. But that one-off match, it's not been a feud. It's not been something where, they've been getting attacked. It's not like Rhea has been causing bloodline problems. Judgment Day just won a very short tournament, and it led to a match where it was Usos against Judgment Day, and that was it. I mean, and to be honest, Usos won anyway. Had Rhea have got involved and the Usos lost the titles, and then we were going to get rematches and all of this, and Usos were having a Rhea problem, then we could start talking about, well, they need to sort that problem. But to be honest, one-off match, didn't need it. Just didn't need it. I think they felt they had it under control. And they did, because they retained. So, yeah, had they have got into a feud, then I think we might have needed to have solved the Rhea problem, and I think we would have seen someone. They always could have turned to someone like Tamina, who obviously has got connections with the Anoa'i family. Naomi would be ideal, of course, but they've got Tamina on the roster. They don't know what to do with her. You could easily make her like big, strong. Make her like a bit of a problem for Rhea. Give Rhea something to think about. And you could always go that way. But yeah, they weren't really ever in a feud. Is Tamina not related to Roman or the Usos? I'm sure she is. She is, yeah. The thing with Tamina is that she's just not really highly regarded, is she? She's not very good in the ring. And so she's not really someone that I think people would necessarily think to highlight or want to highlight. But if you just needed someone just to get in the way of Rhea, just to distract Rhea, just to keep Rhea occupied, Tamina could serve that role quite comfortably. It's not like she's tiny. She's a big girl. She can go over and, just push Rhea around a little bit. If it was going to be a case that Rhea was going to go one-on-one with Tamina, I think we'd all expect Rhea to win. But if it's just the case the Usos need someone to keep Rhea busy, Tamina could have done that job. Fine. I would like to see Tamina Rhea in a Bloodline Judgment Day storyline, said Alex. Bloodline has got a female already, bearded Samantha Zane. Oh, Samantha Zane. Lovely. Right, where are we? We've got 7 minutes to go. That's all, 7 minutes to go. If you are just joining us, let's just quickly show that graphic one more time. So this is what we've got tonight. We've got Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara taking on Ricky Starks and Action Andretti. Not sure how you say it. Action, Mr. Action. You've got Darby Allin taking on Buddy Matthews TNT Championship Open Challenge. JungleHook against Ethan Page and Matt Hardy. Acclaimed and the Gunns in Family Therapy, which does promise to be a bit of a comedy segment. Do you know what? Booking this show would be a nightmare, because where would you put that comedy segment? I sort of feel like maybe this could be a bad idea, but maybe you do the Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal thing. And then because that's really heavy, I mean, I don't think Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal is going to be the main event. It feels like the main event is going to be Darby Allin, Buddy Matthews, right? So it feels like we need to just maybe pick the crowd a little bit up after, because I feel like that Mark Briscoe segment is clearly going to be heavy stuff, right? Clearly. And we might just need to just try and pick up the crowd after. So I don't know if you do that by having the Acclaimed come out and then go into a bit of a fun segment with the Acclaimed and the Gunns, and then you go into your main event. So trying to book this, I think I don't envy Tony, to be honest here. I don't envy him. I think this is a show that you look at and you go, how do I make sure that I am paying respect 100%? I don't want anyone saying that I'm being disrespectful. And you can just see people saying well, why would you put the Acclaimed on straight after that Mark Briscoe segment? But I sort of feel like, well, you're going to really bring everyone down. The mood's going to be really down. People are going to be really emotional. And, you might want to just pick everyone up before the end. And so, the Acclaim, the Guns, they might be able to do that. I don't know. It's tricky. It is tricky. Brian Cage against Bryan Danielson, Mark Briscoe against Jay Lethal, Toni Storm against Ruby Soho. So we'll see what he does. Brenton said, as a larger issue though, would a female member hurt the bloodline? Seems like options you laid out would be duds. Tamina, Naomi. She's known because she worked with Sasha. No, that'd be fine. I mean, Naomi is a great worker. She's great in ring. She's someone she's confident on a microphone. The thing with Naomi is that she just doesn't really get an opportunity. I sort of feel like with Naomi, she is someone that comes down, she's got the glow thing, comes down to the ring, but she's never someone that's really booked as like, a great talent. She's no one that can ever get any sort of momentum. Put her in the bloodline though, have her turn like heel and a bit moody, give her like an attitude, have her like, stand in throwing up the wands with the Usos and with Roman and with Solo and kind of have her surrounded by that. Give her wins, credible wins. Give her that sort of booking that she would need. She'd kill it. She'd be absolutely fine. I'd have no problem with Naomi in the bloodline. Tamina, you'd have to do the same, to be honest. But the problem with Tamina is that she's not as good in the ring. The thing with Naomi is that you can put Naomi in that position, and then when the bell rings, she's going to deliver. Naomi doesn't look stupid in the ring. She doesn't look out of place. She doesn't look lost. She looks credible. She's a former women's champion. She is someone that, is great in ring. I don't think we ever really look at her as being slow and plodding or botching all the time or dangerous. She's someone that's athletic, agile. She's got a decent moveset. She can sell. She's former women's champion. She's fine. I've got no issues with Naomi. Tamina, she's a problem because she is a bit slow. She is a bit plodding. She does get a little bit lost. Her splash off the top is like one of the worst in the whole company. I mean, how she is the daughter of Jimmy Superfly Snuka, I don't know. We need DNA tests, right? Because something's gone wrong. But she is someone, she very much feels, I don't know how this has worked out or if this is what's worked out. Maybe it hasn't, but it very much feels like someone somewhere has spoken to Vince and say, look after this girl. I need you to do me a favor. I've always helped you out. I need you to help me out. Look after this girl. Right? It feels like someone's had that word with Vince. Because, to be honest, I can't quite get my head around how she stayed with the company this long. Like, I feel like we've fired better wrestlers, and I would definitely do not want to be sitting here saying that she should have been fired. That's not what I'm saying. I do not begrudge her keeping her job, right? No issue whatsoever. But it does just feel like someone's had that word and said, look after this girl. We know that Vince is very close to the Anoa'i family. He's very, very close to the Anoa'i family. They've always looked after him. If you think about, just think of the stars that have come out of that family, Yokozuna and Rikishi and the Wild Samoans. And, you can go through a whole history, Umaga, and, they've been very close to Vince. I think they've always had Vince's back. They've always been there for Vince. They've always delivered for Vince. And I think he has always stood by them as well. And it sort of feels that someone in that family has sort of said, look after her. And that's exactly what WWE have done. She's got like a job for life type situation. So, I mean, look, you could put her in the bloodline. You could make her cool, credible, right? If she was standing there with them each week, throwing up the wands and then going and smashing people. Do you know what I mean? Put her in a match with Xia Li, just have her just killing her. Put her in a match with Aaliyah, just chucking Aaliyah around, not caring. Just make her a bit of a monster. And is she going to be like captivating? Is she going to be someone people are going to get super excited about watching? Nah, probably not. But you could do something. You could do something. But Naomi, of course, would be the better option. You could do a lot more with Naomi. Here's Dynamite then. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. And I believe we've got Jericho Appreciation Society making their way down. We do. Oh, God, turn that down. Right, Jericho Appreciation Society. They are taking on Ricky and Action Andretti. Here we go. Courtney said the ratings for Raw were really high this week. They were excellent. 2.34 is way above what I was expecting. Big Time Baxter constantly talks about the ratings, and we had a conversation about what we thought they would be. I said, well, it'll be disappointing if it doesn't start with a 2. I was expecting about 2.1, 2.2 at an absolute push. But I wasn't really expecting 2.2. But if someone was like, what's the real top end? I'd have 2.2. Came out 2.34. I mean, yeah, it's a great number. Jericho in that stupid song, said Reese. Elijah, shout out to you. I feel bad for guys in the UK having to stay up till 1 a.m., said Hockey. You get used to it, bud. Get used to it. I mean, what I would say is that if you're off on like a Tuesday or whatever, or you work late on a Tuesday, like staying up for Raw's not a problem. Same with like Dynamite. You know, if you're late in on a Thursday and you can stay up to watch it at 1, like it's not a problem. But if you're at work early in the morning, then it sucks. Because then, like, if you've got a big Raw, you can't miss it. But then well, it didn't finish until 4 a.m. If you're in work at 6. I tell you what I did a few times, actually. I went to bed and got up and started my day as Raw began. And then I would just stay up and go straight to work, come back and go to bed. Like, I would change my body clock, like, to adapt to it. So then it becomes a bit messy. But, yeah, I would imagine if you're a long-time fan, you've sorted some sort of schedule out now whereby it works for you. You're off on Thursday. Or some wrestling fans, I did it myself, would tape the shows and then try and stay away from spoilers. That is close to impossible in the modern age with Twitter and everything, of course, and YouTube and everything. That's... When I was, like, growing up, the only thing you had to avoid was people at work... or a college telling you what had happened. That's all you had to avoid. Smartphones weren't a thing. Do you know what I mean? YouTube wasn't a thing. Twitter wasn't a thing. I think there might have been MySpace, but you just had to avoid those types of things. Whereas now, I should imagine it's a lot harder. Right, we are underway with this first match then, and against the ropes goes Action Andretti. He goes down by Sammy. So it's Sammy and it's Jericho. No promos or anything. Just straight into the match. Action Andretti trying to do a backflip and he lands down. I wish I was in Seoul right now, said Toni. Gary said, I'm staying up to watch Dynamite. I've got work at 10. Yeah, that's probably like how you would want to try and do it. I mean, it's still not ideal, is it? Of course, because you're still not going to be getting much in the way of sleep there. But yeah, these kind of sacrifices you have to make in it when you're a UK wrestling fan. Brenton said, seems like Toni is trying to multitask with Starks and Andretti here, trying to get Andretti over and on Starks' coattails. Only problems is that Starks needs to be more established, needs to be in the title picture. I agree with that. I sort of feel like this This for Starks is okay. Him being in with like Jericho and Sammy Guevara, I mean, they are some of the biggest stars in this company. So him being in there and getting like, I mean, look, he's getting to start the show. I sort of feel like this is a lot of people are like, oh, Jericho's trying to feed off Starks's popularity, whatever. That could be true, but I also think Jericho is a massive legend, a massive name in his own right. And being in a segment with him is going to be noteworthy for Starks. It is going to be noteworthy for Starks. So I sort of feel like, yeah, this is all right. But yeah, I agree. I think trying to get Action Andretti into this story as well is you're trying to do a lot here. You're trying to do a lot. I'll tell you the other thing that I'm a bit concerned about, just watching this. Action Andretti is flipping all over the place, right? He is someone that is like bouncing off the ropes, spinning in the air. He's doing all this kind of stuff. Whereas just a few weeks ago, he was like a jobber. He was someone that was meant to be, you know, going to be beaten by Jericho, was meant to be a jobber. And now here he is, like, flying all over the place. I sort of feel like, I sort of feel like he's doing a bit too much. I think he's doing a bit too much. I think he's looking too competent. He's looking too good. I sort of feel like with him being a jobber, he should be playing into that role of still being like, you know, was it luck that he won? You know, he's trying to prove himself, but like seeing him like bounce off the bottom rope and spin in the air and do all this like stuff, I think he's doing too much. I'd really dial it down. I sort of feel like this is where he should be. This is the sort of stuff he should be doing 8 months from now, 10 months from now, a year from now, where he's like been on the roster for a long time. I mean, look at that. He's flipped over, landed on his feet. You sort of look at this guy and go, well, Spanish Fly, 1, 2. He just looks like a guy that's just on the roster. Just part of the roster. He's losing that plucky underdog. What made him so great? Oh my God, the underdog just beat Jericho. I think what we're seeing here with him doing all this, he's losing that. He's moving past that. He's moving away from that. But that was really special for him, and that was a great moment. And that's something I think we should try and keep for a little bit longer. Just because you can do these things doesn't mean you should do these things. Do you know what? That is actually, if I was to give a speech, if I was to give a talk to the AEW roster, that would be it. I'd walk in and go, guys, brilliant to see you all. Thank you so much. I've only got one thing to say. I'm just want you to bear this in mind. Just because you can do some of these things, it doesn't mean that you should do some of these things. Bear that in mind. Thank you. Have a great show. That would be my talk to the AEW locker room. 1, 2, kick out. But I follow you on Twitter, said Princess Lady. Appreciate it. Right, we've got Jericho in there with Starks. Starks is in the ring now. He dumps Starks down. Jericho Appreciation Society in control. Jericho going for the pin nonchalantly. Brent says you're sounding like Cornette. Well, if I sound like Cornette or not, I'm not bothered. How I feel. I just sort of think like if you've got someone that's the plucky underdog, why would you just have him in there just bouncing all over the ring now, just looking like Penta, just looking like the Lost Lucha, bro? I just sort of feel like stick with the plucky underdog thing. It's what made him so special. It's what got him over. It's what I know him for. I don't want to see him as just being another person on the roster now. I don't want to see him as just being like, oh yeah, it's Action Andretti. I want to still see him as being that plucky underdog. I still want to see him as being that, come on, kids. I still want that feeling with him personally. I still want to look at him and go on, do it. But like now he's just, it's just another guy. He's just another guy on the roster. Seeing a bit of posing here by Jericho as he steps to the outsides. Sammy going over to the outside. Sammy going up top as Ricky Starks is down. Sammy up top. Comes down, gets... I don't know what he was going for. He literally just jumped down like vertical. Starks got his legs up. I genuinely don't know what that was. He didn't attempt to splash. He didn't attempt like some sort of lip or anything. He literally just sort of jumped down. Andretti comes in, clothesline, goes over, attacks Jericho. Jericho goes down. Andretti, net breaker. But even Brian Laster's given AEW props lately, said Esteban. Philip said, where does your excitement level sit now for the Rumble? Where does my excitement level sit? Probably about 8.5, 8 to 8.5. The only reason it's probably not a 10 is just because I think it's a bit predictable. That's all. Like, I think it's going to be Cody. I think that Bray's going to win. I think that Roman's going to retain. I think Bianca's going to win. Now, obviously, if we get there and we start getting some shock results and, LA Knight wins, or Kevin Owens becomes the new undisputed champion, or someone other than Cody wins the Men's Rumble, then, that'll be very exciting. But the only reason I'm not 10 out of 10 is because of that. I feel like it's a little predictable, but we won't know if that's the case until we get to the show. But it's the Rumble. Everyone loves the Rumble. I love the Rumble. It's one of my favorite pay-per-views, absolutely. So, yeah, excited. Jobberco to win the Rumble at number 1. Squash Roman and then defend it a couple of nights later. What was that? Days, I hope you're well. Can anyone explain why now they are letting Briscoe on when a few weeks ago they wouldn't? Suddenly it's okay. Doesn't sit right with me. Good for him, but why now? It's just a change in decision of the networks. The networks were saying no. So it's not a Toni thing or an AEW thing. I think they wanted him and in all fairness, what I would say is you probably wouldn't have got him last week because didn't he pass away on the Tuesday? And then the next night was Dynamite. Like, I don't think anyone would have expected him to have been on that show. In all fairness, I'm stunned he's on this show. Do you know what I mean? His brother passed away, 8 days ago, is it now? And now here he is wrestling a match. I mean, it's kind of staggering to think about. But I think it's just a change in the minds of the network, that's all. I don't think it's got anything to do with AEW. I don't think it's got anything to do with Toni. I think they wanted to pay their respects to Jay Briscoe last week. They weren't being allowed, and then seemingly something has changed. I don't know if it's because the network has seen the kind of response from people. I think wrestling fans have made their feelings quite well known as to how they feel about that decision to not allow AEW to honor Jay Briscoe better. So it might just be that the network has read the room. They might have actually looked at the room and gone, oh, do you know what? We got this a bit wrong. Either way, it's good that he's on this show. And it's going to be emotional, isn't it? It's going to be a heavy segment. Starks on the outside with Jericho, hurls him into the ring post. Jericho goes down. In the ring, Sammy with Action Andretti. He jumps up, reverse Rana. Sammy gets up onto his feet. Action Andretti picks up Sammy. Plants Sammy down. 1, 2, and shoulder up. Do you think it would have made a difference if it was Dead Man Undertaker with the ring with Bray. Not really. Not really. I don't think anyone. Well, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that moment was lessened because it wasn't Dead Man. I think Dead Man was like retired at Survivor Series. So had we have seen Dead Man, I think that would have been like even more surprising. So we ended up getting American Badass. This is, I don't know, in a way, I sort of feel like if we'd have got Dead Man and he would have had a word, that would have been fine. But this is still Undertaker, and it's Mark Calloway as well. Knee strike there by Sammy, and Jericho and Sammy get the win. Yeah, this is like Mark Calloway who's having a words. It feels more like I tell you what, right? It doesn't feel like it was the character of the Undertaker that was talking to Bray. It felt more like it was Mark Calloway that was talking to Bray. And I actually think that's better because in a way that is the actual man himself that portrayed the Undertaker, basically saying, I've had my time. I've done my character. I've been the face of fear. You are that guy now. It's your time. It's your turn. And it's not like, kayfabe. It's not like the Dead Man character saying that. It's Calloway. It's the man himself who, there's video clips doing the rounds of him saying lovely stuff about Bray, saying that he hopes Bray comes home and all this kind of stuff when Bray was obviously outside of the company. So no, I don't think it makes it better. If it was Dead Man, I don't think it makes it worse. I just think that moment is that moment. Whether it was Dead Man, whether it was American Badass, whether it was Mark Calloway, doesn't matter. Seeing Undertaker talking to Bray and us being able to fill in the blanks, Right, hang on. We need to move to this because we've got a Briscoe video package. So we got a Briscoe's video package. So we're seeing some like home footage of Jay Briscoe with his family. It'd be heavy stuff. I haven't seen this video package. There's Kevin Steen, Samoa Joe, the match they had with FTR. It's a great video package. It's a brilliant video package. This might be the end of an era, but it's not the end of the Briscoes. Yeah, that was brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant. Have they put it as the main event, have they? Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, they're saying main event, so he's booked it as the main event. I didn't think they would put it as the main event. So TNT Championship matches now? Wow, they've gone with the main event for Mark Briscoe. Wow. I thought this was going to be really hard to book. I would not have criticized Tony whatever he decided to do. If he decided to put the Mark Briscoe match out first and like give the first part of the show to Mark Briscoe and then carry on with the show after, I wouldn't have criticized it. If he'd have decided to have put it on, I don't know, in the middle of the show, and then like done a comedy segment after just to try and pick the mood up afterwards, you know. Obviously, you do the Mark Briscoe thing, you pay the right respects, you go to a commercial break, right? But then once you're back from that commercial break, you move on and you right, let's try and pick this up, bring out the Acclaimed, whatever. I wouldn't have criticized it. I think this was tricky. I think it was tricky to know how to book this one, but he's gone with the main event. Fair play. Yeah, fine. Good. Brent said, thoughts on Sammy in the Rumble? Does Roman force him to save the Usos or eliminate himself? I'm sure Sammy would want a title shot. Has to be Cody to win, though. Yeah, I think Cody wins. Is Sammy in the Rumble? I don't know that Sammy's... I don't know that he's announced for the Rumble. I don't know that I'm expecting him to be in the Rumble. I don't know that he's going to be in it. I'm thinking that Roman said you've got your final test at the Rumble, and I took that to mean that there's going to be a beaten up Kevin Owens, and then I think Sammy is going to be told to beat him up more. I think like you're going to have Kevin Owens passed out, and I think they'll give him a chair and tell him to finish the job. We don't want to see Kevin Owens in WWE ever again finish the job. And I think there's a chance that Sammy won't, and Sammy will get attacked. Solo will then do, you know, what he was about to do the other day. And I think Sammy might fail that test, might get beaten down. He might get beaten down to the point where he then isn't able to get into the Royal Rumble. I really don't know that I'm expecting him to be in the Rumble. As you say, I sort of feel like the Rumble's going to be Cody's to win. So if Sammy is in there, I don't think Sammy winning the Rumble is... I don't think that's on the cards. You know, I've not seen any reports that we're doing Sammy versus Roman at WrestleMania. Not seen any reports of Sammy versus Roman at WrestleMania. So I'm not expecting him to be in it. Right, we've got Darby versus... Who's Darby facing that? Oh, yeah. Buddy. Darby versus Buddy Matthews. I remember when Jay had to hand the Ring of Honor title to Adam Cole, and then Adam Cole super kicked him, and it broke my heart, says Dominic. BP said there's an Elimination Chamber graphic that's leaked that's got Sammy trying to break out of a chamber pods. I did see that. I don't really pay much attention to those. The only thing I would say is that it obviously implies that Sammy is going to be at Elimination Chamber. But I don't know that he's going to be in the pods. It'll be really interesting to know how they do it. But I don't know that when they do the graphics, they're actually told what the creative is. They might get told, like, we want you to do something, use Sammy. Like, we've got big plans for Sammy. Use Sammy in some way. It could be something along those lines. But whether he's actually going to be in the pods, I don't know that that's like a spoiler. Because actually, that's not what the reports say is the plan. So don't know. I don't think you can look at posters as spoilers. I mean, what I will say is that Extreme Rules last year had a lot of hints towards Bray, and Bray did return. But that is a bit of an exception because we had the White Rabbit campaign, and it could be that the Extreme Rules posters were a part of that, you know, lots of little Easter eggs, and the posters could have been included as a part of Bray's return. It's like, if Bray's coming back at Extreme Rules, what do we do with the posters to kind of indicate that Bray's coming back? So it could be that was a little bit of an exception, but we've seen posters before many, many times where superstars have been on the posters and they haven't been at the shows. Because the way that they tend to do posters and they haven't done it in this case, in all fairness. They haven't done it in this case. But what they tend to do is they just get all the biggest stars and put them on the posters. You know, we've seen the likes of Brock and Charlotte and all these people on posters that then have not been on the shows that they're being put on the posters for. So the marketing department doesn't necessarily get told. In fact, I just don't think they do get told what the actual creative plans are. This one is interesting, I do admit, because it is Sammy on his own in the Elimination Chamber. I think that they've got plans to do something with Sammy there. I don't know that this is a spoiler that he's going to enter the Chamber match, but we'll find out. We'll find out. Unless Paul turns on Roman with Solo. That's what I love about the storyline, the bloodline. There's so many twists and turns, says Maggie. Right, we're seeing Buddy Matthews smashing Darby Allin into some railings. He's got Darby up in the air, and he's looking to hurl him into some more railings. It makes me nervous when they're chucking each other into railings and the railings shoot back into the crowd. I don't know why it makes me nervous and not Toni. I feel like this is genuinely going to be a problem at some point. Those ones didn't move, actually. Those barricades didn't move. They just kind of went back a touch, but they didn't shoot back to the crowds. Kicks coming in by Darby. They're better, aren't they? Those ones. If Cody's not winning, said Austin. Hello. I'd have Finn win it. Seth takes the title from Roman before WrestleMania. Finn dethrones Seth at WrestleMania. I'd say Sammy to win the Rumble, but realistically, Roman won't happen at WrestleMania. Finn taking it would be cool. Isn't it funny how when it comes to Finn now, we just do not expect the Demon? He's gone, isn't he? No, you just don't expect the Demon at all. It's a real shame in a way, because imagine having someone like Finn who's as good in the ring as what Finn is, and he's fine on the microphone. He maybe not amazing, but he's fine. He never really comes out with like any killer lines or anything, but he can talk. He doesn't get lost. He doesn't stumble on his words. He doesn't start sentences and get where he's going or anything. He's not quiet or doesn't start crying or anything like this. Like, he's all right. But in ring, he's brilliant. I mean, he's fantastic in ring. But they had this guy who is cool, credible, came from New Japan, and he had the Demon character, and the Demon was so over. And like, how did they ruin that? How did they not find a way of keeping that around? How did that just not work? I don't know. I don't know. I can understand them wanting to get Finn over more than the not wanting people like wanting the Demon all the time. I can sort of understand that, but like, it seems like such a crazy thing to just, I don't know, throw away. Do you know what I mean? Did we really do everything we could with the Demon? I don't feel like we even saw him that often on the main roster. I agree. I'd like to see Finn have a big year this year. I think Triple H has always liked him, so I think we could. Lights just went off, and we had the other House of Black members. There's a bit of activity on the outside of the ring. Darby and Buddy are inside the ring. Still to come, we got JungleHook taking on Ethan Page and Matt Hardy. Ortiz coming down and with a kendo stick walloping the House of Black. They've gone away to try and deal with that. We're just seeing some of the other matches we've got coming up tonight. Of course, Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, we found out is going to be our main event. Did you see that apparently Taker asked for the segment with LA due to them both being managed by Percy Pringle throughout their careers? No. I don't think that's true. I can't imagine that he has to be with LA for that reason. I've got to imagine he has to be with Bray. Are we saying that if LA wasn't in a feud with Bray, Undertaker wouldn't have been in that segment? I find that hard to believe. Into the corner goes Darby. Dragon End said, did I miss some? I thought the only person really left legitimately for Roman is Cody. Did you miss something? No, Austin was just talking about, like, if it's not going to be Cody, then Finn would be a good shout. And I agree, because I think Triple H really likes Finn. He's made him NXT champion on enough occasions. I think he's cool, he's credible. He's got the demon up his sleeve if ever we needed to bring that back. But I feel like he's the leader of Judgment Day. I think Judgment Day have really hit a groove. I don't think they were really working that well around SummerSlam when they were like struggling to beat the Mysterios. But since Dominic came in, that's really, made them a lot more engaging, believe it or not. It's crazy, isn't it? Dominic, who we used to make jokes about, and we still do. Since he came into the Judgment Day, Judgment Day have got a lot more interesting, and Dominic is just, it's completely different. All of a sudden now, Dominic's become one of the best parts of the show, but with him being like ex-con Don, in his relationship with Rhea and everything. So, brilliant, yeah. Right, we're still underway with this match. Forearm strikes coming in by Darby. Bit of biting going on. Finn is a good leader. Prince Devitt, says John. At least the third time in the first half an hour they reviewed the matches for tonight, said Blaze Radio. Yeah, they have run through them. Crowd a little quiet for this one. People aren't like really... maybe I don't know, we could have been at commercial break. I think we might have been. Yeah, we were. Right, okay. That's why it was a bit flat. It just seemed a little flat. Crowd seemed a bit quiet. We were at commercial. That's coming in by Darby then. Darby on the shoulders of Buddy Matthews. Buddy Matthews going down to one knee. Coming back up. Reverse Rana, but Buddy Matthews on his feet goes to the outside of the ring. Goes down to one knee as Darby Allin comes out, grabs Buddy Matthews and hurls him into the barricades. That barricade moved a bit, but it didn't shoot back. I think they have fixed these barricades, Now I'm looking at it. I think these are different, aren't they, than the railings? Is that one side still railings though? The side that's like that you can see that is on the hard cam. I think that might still be railings, but I think the other sides are more barricades. I don't know. Perhaps it's all like barricaded. I don't know. Gentle applause. Gentle applause from the AEW fans. There is a "This is awesome" chant. That's crazy. That's crazy. People aren't even cheering. People aren't cheering. That something just happened, and they were like, gentle applause. Honestly, they just showed you people going. Then out of nowhere, "This is awesome" chat. I'm having the time of my life. This is awesome. Wow. 1, 2, backslides. Kick to the face there by Buddy. Buckle bomb into the corner goes Darby. Darby goes down. Buddy. Stomp. 1, 2. Shoulder up. This is for the TNT title, TNT Championship. We're 35 minutes into this. They switched the railings a few shows ago. You spoke about it, said Esteban. Oh, I don't remember it. I don't remember it. I don't remember it at all. It's always something that's bothered me. Always been something that's bothered me. I think because we watched like WWE and they've got barricades. When you see railings, people going into them and they're shooting back into the crowd. Like that has really felt like something they've had to resolve for a long time. I genuinely don't remember talking about them. I still think those ones on the hard cam side might be railings. They still seem to shoot back when they got thrown into them. You know, I'm just more interested now. I'm more intrigued by them. Right, we've got Darby up top. Chop coming in there by Buddy. Buddy climbing up, looking for a superplex. That's coming into the midsection. Again, Buddy looking for that superplex. Oh, God. He kind of had him up like this, but he was starting to twist and like... One, two, kick out. Don't know what that was. Wasn't Demon Finn supposed to fight Edge at Hell in a Cell at a Rumble? Wasn't Demon Finn meant to fight Edge at Hell in a Cell? Was that a rumor, was it? No. I do remember Hell in a Cell being mentioned, actually, now you mention it. Seemingly not going that way. Perhaps they've got a different plan for Edge. I think Edge will be in the Rumble. Darby has picked up the win here. Face of TNT. He's holding onto his leg. We've got Toni coming down. Toni Schiavone going to have a word. The near railing has a top on it, and it looks different than the other railings on the other side, says Blazed. Yeah, I think you're right. Lone Star said, Darby defeating all of these bigger guys, it doesn't make any sense. Darby is still down. The win streak continues. Four in a row. He's absolutely gassed. He's shattered. Tony's trying to interview him right now. Is Samoa Joe on screen? Poor Darby Allin. He's absolutely shattered. He's in the ring. He's like... he was actually lying on the ground, still recovering, as Tony started talking. I'm coming to take back what's mine, says Samoa Joe. Days, have you seen any more news on Jeff when we could see him return? Is it too early for that? I'm seeing nothing on Jeff, no. Anything on him? I don't know that has there been any reports recently about Jeff? So just teasing another match between Samoa Joe and Darby. No. 3 weeks ago, Matt Hardy said there's a chance Jeff doesn't return. It's very unfortunate, the stuff that happened with Jeff. Hopefully it's something he's going to make into a positive. And hopefully he'll turn everything around, come back and be better. We'll see. I just don't know. Maybe he comes back, maybe he doesn't. But we were scheduled to do all kinds of things during the summer. And it really sent me down a big path, a big detour. But that's what it is. It's pro wrestling. You have to adapt and change on the fly. I've made the most of it. I've tried to do what I can. When asked by John Albert if the brothers had been set to have us run as champions, he said, I think we were going to see the Hardys as AEW World Tag Champs if Jeff didn't suffer that unfortunate twist of fate. So June 13th, he was arrested for a DUI and haven't seen him since. But those comments around about 4 weeks ago, but I can't see anything other than that, to be honest. Right. Here is Matt. Ethan Page and Matt Hardy making their way out. We've got them in action. They're going to be taking on JungleHook. Okay. Oh. Play music. Right, Ethan Page, Matt Hardy, going to be taking on JungleHook. Both the Hardys are done. They can't wrestle anymore. They move like they're in constant pain, said Maggie. Days, who do you think should be Edge and Randy's retirement matches? Well, I mean, I just don't know what's happening with Randy. I don't know when he's coming back. So that's hard to answer because, honestly, I don't know when we're going to see him. I don't know if we're going to see him. There might not be one. In regards to Edge, I think he wants to go out in Canada. I think that's what he's looking at. He made those comments, didn't he, last year? He's like, I'll see you this time next year. We can all say goodbye together. So I sort of feel like he is looking to go out in Canada. Maybe they do a big farewell Edge episode type, or Edge has to retire type stipulation, you know. Who that would be against? Someone's going to benefit. Needs to be a monster heel. Monster heel that would benefit by being the one that sent Edge away. Gunther? Gunther would be good, wouldn't it? Edge versus Gunther. Gunther would be able to brag about being the one that put Edge away for good. I mean, I don't know if there'd be a better opponent. I mean, Gunther's just having 5-star matches against everyone at the moment. I sort of feel like if Edge wants that one final banging match, Gunther would make sense. Gunther's a monster heel. Credible. Would benefit. Would give Edge a fantastic final match. It ticks every box. So I'd be looking at someone like Gunther. Ethan Page jumping out of the ring. We've got 15 minutes to go till we get to halftime scores. John said LA Knights. Gunther might kill Edge, said Maggie. John said maybe Roman could be Edge's retirement match. Days, basically the entire first hour has been picture-in-picture for the US. Very rare because we get those adverts. Perhaps Toni is aiming for the big rating after seeing Raw's first hour doing big. Basically, the entire first hour has been picture-in-picture. That's rare we get those adverts. No. I don't know. I mean, I think they suck. I think, like... honestly, if you watch it on Fight TV and you don't know that you're at commercial, it keeps happening where I'm watching the match and I'm like, it's a bit slow, like no, there's not really much happening, and then you have to tell yourself, oh, I bet they're at commercial. You have to, like, if you don't catch when they say, like, we're going to go to the commercial or whatever, and you're just like watching, and it's a bit slow, you go, oh, well, this match isn't very good. I've said it loads of times. Like, it's such a weird way of watching wrestling. Like, watching bits that you shouldn't really be watching. I just wish they didn't slow down. I just wish the matches were the matches and we didn't slow down during the commercial break. If there's something cool that happens in commercial break, just show us when we come back. Just be like, wow, this is what you missed during the commercial break. Look at this, an amazing moment here. And like, just don't slow it down. But equally, I can understand, like, you don't want to give away your good stuff whilst you're at commercial break. But I don't know. The difference between showing picture-in-picture or just going to commercial, for me, there's really no difference because even when you're at picture-in-picture, the action's just not that great. What's a 5-star match? It's a stupid term that Dave Meltzer made up, says Paul. Well, it's just a way of describing a great match, isn't it? 5-star match, a great classic match. Term it however you want, but like if Edge wants a great classic, memorable final match, I think Gunther's probably the best person to deliver it. Or, well, one of the best people to deliver it. Because he's very consistent at doing that at the moment. Had a fantastic match with Braun. Had a match of the year contender with Sheamus at Clash at the Castle. Obviously had a great match with Ricochet. Just seems to be killing it at the moment. Bang. Right, Matt Hardy in control. What about Edge Theory? Yeah, that'd work. From anyone that's a heel that would really benefit, you want someone that's credible. So, like, Theory, great. LA Knight, great. Gunther, great. Yeah, they're all fine. All fine. Dave admitted he did make up the term. Royal Rumble is the best in the World Wrestling Show. Right, we're seeing Double Wrist Lock right now by Ethan Page. What's your favorite wrestling pay-per-view of 2022? Probably night one of WrestleMania. I thought Bianca versus Becky was fantastic. Maybe the best women's match of last year. Although saying that, I really enjoyed Jamie Hayter against Toni. I really enjoyed that. Then we had Undertaker go in the Hall of Fame. Then we had Cody coming back. We had Cody against Seth. You had Stone Cold and like wrestling that match. I know that the Stone Cold match was a bit like smoke and mirrors. It was literally like just Stone Cold in name, you know. It wasn't a disaster by any means, but there was a lot of stalling and smoke and mirrors to make it look good, you know. Him drinking beers and driving up the entrance ramp in that little cart thing, and maybe some of the strikes not looking that great. It was more than I expected though. And it's still Stone Cold, and it's still very significant, and it was still awesome to see. So I wasn't down on that. I wasn't down on that main event. I saw a few moans about it, but it was what it was. But that hour in particular, I thought that was stunning. So yeah, and it's WrestleMania, isn't it? I'd say that was my favorite. Matt Hardy tags in. Big Time Back said the idea of AEW doing picture-in-picture is to avoid losing the audience. Tony thinks people will picture-in-picture will keep people tuned in, which is why they do so many. Dominic said, I think LA Knights would take a win over Edge to the grave and benefit from it. I'd be interested to know if that is true, by the way, though, Big Time Back. So I'd be interested to know if that works. I mean, I don't see it. I don't see picture-in-picture, so I don't know if it works. But all I can tell you is that when we go to commercial break, be it picture-in-picture, be it commercial, the action slows down. I can't see how people would watch picture in picture and it keep them around. Don't know. I'd be very interested to know the data on that. There was nothing different between that match and Stone Cold's last year of wrestling, said Paul. Rainbows and Unicorns says Edge versus Drew versus Madcap versus Damien for date and cuddle fight. But what about Stone Cold versus LA Knight? What about Stone Cold against LA Knight? Don't know. I mean, I sort of feel like you need someone that's going to be able to carry Stone Cold. I feel like LA Knight might be able to do that. He's a veteran. He could do it. He could talk. It'd be a good build. He's not really a big enough star. That's the only downside. I mean, Kevin Owens is a pretty big deal. LA Knight's only been on the main roster for a little while. And don't forget, for the shortest time, he was in the Maximum Male Models. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it could work on paper, but I just don't think LA Knight's quite at that level to be able to have that match at the moment. Maybe like next year's WrestleMania after a good 12 months, JungleHook pick up the win. Right, family therapy. Okay, so we're not doing this in the ring. When did you two become so entitled? So you didn't have anything to do with how we were raised. You ditched us. I think you two are the biggest pieces of that I have ever met in my entire life. You couldn't cope when he showed us a little bit of attention? You can't do what we do. This doesn't feel like it's working. This therapy's not going well. I feel sorry for this woman. She's going to have to work hard to earn her money here. Don't rewrite history. Now they're bickering. I get both points, said Billy. Faults as sons are failures of yours as a father. What do you want? What will make you happy? So they want the AEW tag titles. It's a bit weird. I mean, I know it doesn't matter, but it's a bit weird them sitting down saying, our faults as kids are your failings as a father, and it being quite deep, meaningful. And then as soon as Billy Gunn's like, okay, well, look, how do we heal this? How can we, what is it that you need? What do you want? And their answer is the AEW tag title. I don't know. That segment didn't quite know what it wanted to be, did it? Are we trying to really dig down into something here and really heal some wounds? Are we really trying to bring the Guns back in? What is it that we're trying to do here? Because for them to turn around and go, what we need to heal is those AEW tag titles. That's what we need. It's a bit weird. Oh. They should have brought in Alexa's therapist. James said it's all the work. Billy is still with his sons, and he will turn on the Acclaimed. Austin said, sucks Britt Baker is out of that match. I was curious to see if Ruby was going to turn heel by beating up Britt and joining forces with Toni and Saraya. Undercover manager said Billy is going to turn his back and join his sons by helping them get the belts. J-Boy said Hook and Big Dom would be a great team. Billy is going to turn on the Acclaimed. I've called it all along, said Just Nick. That was the worst therapist ever. She didn't say a word, did she? She just sat there and she, yeah. She didn't need to be. I don't know how much she charges, but they could have saved that money. AEW quarter hours data works sometimes. If they go a whole hour picture in picture, they will sit at a higher number stretched across 4 quarters. Paul said definitely a Billy heel turn. J-Boy said Hook steps in cowboy shiz. Linda, shout out to you. Have a good evening. James said, I've been saying that since Billy got with the Acclaimed. I've been saying it since he was in the New Age Outlaws in the Attitude Era. I said it first. I said that he would turn on the Acclaimed and join his sons when he was in the Smoking Guns. That's when I said it. When he was running around with Sonny as his manager, I was like, fast forward about 20 odd years, he's going to turn on the Acclaimed. Yeah, beat that. Grayson Waller might retire Edge. Grayson Waller would be a good shout if he's up. John said she's a good listener, but that doesn't mean she's a good therapist. Right, we're backstage with Hangman. Hangman with Renee Baguette. Can you be more specific? Do you remember, was it last week? He was like, can you just tell John doesn't matter. Like he had a little crush on John. You'll see John later, won't you? Can you just tell John doesn't matter. Next week we're in Dayton. I want to do the impossible. I want to knock out John Moxley. Is Wheeler Yuta? To see Renee look a bit more concerned. Hangman's like, I'd like to knock out John Moxley, and Renee's like, what makes you think what will happen to John won't happen to you too? Okay. Danielson. Bryan Danielson. I said Mr. Ass would turn on his sons when he was in the Smoking Gun with his brother Bart, said Chris. It is mental when you think about how long his career has been. That is mental. It is mental. He is like a proper bona fide legend. Just from a durability, longevity point of view. Bryan Danielson versus... I remember who he was facing. Oh, Brian Cage in it. Brian Cage. Drop in your halftime scores, everybody. It's the halftime scores. I really want to know your halftime scores. Put it in the chat. Halftime scores, everybody. It's the halftime scores. Are you happy? It's the halftime scores. Are you happy or you sad? Halftime scores, everybody. It's the halftime scores. I should get that recorded. If I got it recorded, I could just press play then. Just sit here like this. Boom. Halftime scores, get them in. We're an hour into this show. 6 said Austin. 10 said Denise. 6 said 1 Minute Wrestler. Chris said 7. Mr. Dell Jr. said 8. TJB said Cage gets DQ'd. Paul said 5. Greg says 8. Travis says 2. Trey said 6. Elizabeth says 6. Alvarez is still saying news is imminent on his podcast. Paul said 4. Chip Freshly said 4. Justin said 6.4. David says 7.5. Justin said, I didn't see what just, 6. Lone Star Friend said 5.5. Princess Lady with a 10. Rob's with a 5.9. We've got Jojo 7.5. Adorian Fan 7. Donnell 6. Little bit all over the road tonight. Got people seemingly really enjoying it. Some not so much. Not too many disasters in there though, to be honest. But I've got a feeling those scores will probably drastically increased by the time the show ends. Our main event tonight, of course, going to be the Mark Briscoe segment, which I think is going to... That's the one that everyone's waiting for, isn't it? I've enjoyed it. Just too much wrestling, said Big Time Baxter. Where is Wardlow? Where is Wardlow? I don't know. Is he... Where is he? Has he got a little injury or something at the moment? Let's have a little look. I don't know if I've seen him in a hot minute. Wardlow is how AEW defanged their best monster. Samoa Joe defeats Wardlow on Dynamite and cuts his hair. That was a month ago. Belief that Wardlow could have backstage heat in AEW. Wardlow was one of AEW's very own homegrown stars who showed quite the promise. Heavily pushed in 2022 as the past year saw him feud with MJF, a short stint with the TNT title, and a storyline with Samoa Joe. Despite receiving heavy screen time, he was nowhere to be seen in 2023. There is a belief that the reason Wardlow fell off the radar is due to him having backstage heat. In a recent episode of Keeping It 100, Conan addressed the issue of Wardlow's booking, praised Mr. Mayhem for his personality. Conan expressed his sentiments towards Wardlow's treatment at the start of the year. So, yeah, it's seemingly, potentially, a little bit of heat, what we might be looking at. Tony botched Wardlow, said Maggie. Surprised there is a lot of wrestling on a wrestling show too, said Tahil. I heard Wardlow will leave AEW and join WWE, so Vince could faint at the thought of Brock versus Wardlow. I think he'd be good in WWE. He's the sort of person that Vince would look after. But then saying that, you know, I've been quite surprised at how Carrion has been presented. Like, you'd think Carrion would have been used a bit better than he has. He's kind of got into a feud with Drew, didn't really come out of it looking that brilliant. Now he's doing something with Ray. I don't know, like, the Carrion since he came back, like, I like Carrion. He's good, but I don't think what they've had him doing has been that memorable. I don't like, whenever we're talking about what's going on, we never mention Carrion. Carrion just never gets mentioned. And he's got a decent size to him, so I don't know. I mean, like, Wardlow might go and run the risk of being Karrion Kross 2.0 at the moment. I'm sure Carrion will get there eventually, but just I don't think they've really had much for him, or what they had for him I don't think was that captivating. Brian Cage, showing off his strength and power, collides into Danielson, looking for a German suplex. Big German suplex there by Brian Cage. Danielson rolling over to the outside. Cage's contract is up tomorrow, said Chill Dudes. Maggie said, I think Wardlow would be good in WWE. Vince would probably ask Wardlow to marry him. Brian Cage is an eternal jobber, second-level wrestler. He will never be anything more than he is, says John. I like Carrion's character, but for a man that size, he doesn't do many power moves. That's a really good point, actually. It's a good point. Yeah, don't see him doing loads of power moves. He, I think there's definitely things to work on with him. Definitely things to work. I think the other thing as well is I think it's hard for him to do that more dark, spooky, black and white tarot cards, Scarlet with little pyro shooting up. She had this card in her hand and there was fire that shot out of it. Well, it's hard to do that when you're on the same show as Bray. Do you know what I mean? And you've got all the Uncle Howdy, all that kind of stuff. That just completely overshadows whatever Carrion's doing. I feel like Carrion might stand a better chance over on Raw. I mean, he's on the same show as Roman and the Bloodline and the Sammy story and Bray. And that's hard, isn't it? That's hard. Maybe he'd stand a better chance if he, was on the 3-hour show away from Bray and Roman a bit. Cage planting Danielson. Sonny said, I do tarot cards. I do cards myself. I got 9, and it's a wholesome reading. Well, that's nice. That's good, Sonny. Roman and Gunther having the belts is a ceiling for Carrion because he won't get to feud with either of them and win a belt. It's true. That is true. If you can't win the titles or be going after titles, then you need to be having some really good feuds, don't you? You need something that's interesting and going to grab people's attention. I don't. Well, I mean, he's not been around that long, so I mean, we're not going in hard on it. I like him, but just saying, what we've seen so far, I don't think has quite met expectation. That's all. That would just be the concern for Wardlow. Not the grass isn't always greener, even though he's a bigger guy. The thing is, he's a bigger guy in AEW, but if he goes to WWE, he might not be that big. I don't know how he would stack up compared to Carrion, compared to Gunther, compared to Braun, compared to Roman, compared to Brock. Do you know what I mean? They've got some size over in WWE. I don't know that Wardlow would stand out quite as much. Yeah, okay. I think they'd look after him. They'd book him well. I think they'd look after him. It's just hard to know how well he would do. Would he go on and be a world champion? I don't know. Back in the day, I would have said he would be a world heavyweight champion because that world heavyweight championship was, that Mark Henry had and Dolph Ziggler had, and there was quite a few people. I think Jack Swagger had it. The World Heavyweight Championship. It was sort of seen as a step below the WWE one. I think he could have got that, but would he have gone on to have been WWE champion? Probably not. Probably not. That seems to be reserved more for your Cenas, your CM Punks, your Edges. Is Wardlow going to get to that level? Big ask, isn't it? It's a big ask. People said Cody would never go back to WWE, and look what happened, says Tommy. This isn't just a problem within wrestling. Everyone seems to want everything yesterday. In reality, sometimes things take time. Cena was a biggest star for a long time, but didn't happen overnight, said Undercover Manager. That's true. That's true. But equally, you can only judge what you've got in front of you right now. So, Carrion, WWE are their own victims, really. Because they're very good at building people. So, for example, Carrion in NXT looked awesome, and so that builds a certain level of expectation. And then if it doesn't reach that level of expectation, then it's underwhelming. but your expectation is set at that level because of really what WWE have already done in NXT. Down in NXT, you look great. NXT champion, great presentation. There wasn't really anything else like it down there. Him and Scarlett look really good together. Like, it sets the bar, you know? And then he goes to the main roster and they make him look like a kinky gladiator. And we all knew that was stupid. And then, like, you go, what's this? And then he gets cut and you go, huh? Carrion? And then he comes back and you go, right, he's coming back now. He's coming back under Triple H, yeah? And straight away you go, NXT. The bar is set. And I just don't think we've reached that level again. So it's true. You're absolutely not wrong. It takes time. It's going to take time, right? So you're absolutely not wrong. But as I said, I think, WWE are guilty of setting that expectation so high because of doing such a good job in NXT. And as I said, at the moment, it's just not reached there. But it is early doors, early days. Right, we've got Danielson on his knees. We've got Cage coming over. 11 minutes into the second. What I will say is this is going quick, Kick coming in by Danielson. And again, firing in these kicks to Brian Cage, who's on his knees. Danielson backing up. Goes for a kick to the head as Brian Cage goes down. Going for the cover and kick out there by Brian Cage. Jay said, hopefully I didn't miss much. I accidentally fell asleep. I don't think you have, to be honest. I don't think there's been a great deal here. I think the thing tonight is Mark Briscoe, and you haven't missed that, so. Triple H is the same as Vince. There's not much difference in the way they book, says Paul. Austin said, you've missed John Cena. That was a big moment, actually. That was a big moment. Super kick coming in by Brian Cage. Looked a little short. High kick there by Danielson. That just seems to fire up Cage even more. Danielson in the corner. Gets caught. Hurled into the corner. Picked up. Powerbomb. And what I will say, it's good to see Danielson in a match where he is getting hit with some big power moves. We're seeing him getting power bombed and chucked around, and you don't really see that. But Danielson has been able to pick up the win. Bryan Danielson wins. The problem with the Cena segment was that we couldn't see him, said Chris. J-Boy said the WWE storyline for Roman is too long. Brian Cage is still attacking Danielson. Gets planted. Someone's coming down. Someone's making the save. MJF? Huh? Is he coming down to pick up the bones? Ringing the bell. He's snatched the bell away. I want to hear the bell. He's pushing over some people in the timekeepers area. He's grabbed a chair. So Danielson is down. MJF said to Brian Cage, can you break his arm? Gave him a load of money. Now he's giving him a chair. You're going to go after the arm, go after the leg. He's going after the arm. He's put the arm in the chair. He's going to look to ram him into the ring post. Oh, and he does. Put him in the ring. MJF says put him in the ring. I was expecting because Danielson was being beaten up, I was expecting someone to come and make the save. So when MJF came out, I was like, MJF. But things have just gone from bad to worse for Danielson here. He's been hurled into the corner with a chair wrapped around his shoulder. Now MJF is unloading some shots on Danielson. Is no one going to help him? Is this Danielson no friends? Thought he was a well-respected person in the locker room. Seemingly not. Now the chair is on his arm again. Page is holding Danielson down. MJF up top. And now here's Takeshita. Takeshita's come down. Takeshita comes down. Takeshita's kind of tall, isn't he? Got a height to him. Knee there. Down goes Brian Cage. No, Takeshita comes down and makes the save. This is silly. Where's security? Brian Cage will be suspended, thus ending his AEW contract, says Paul. Cage on the outside of the ring, walking away. Danielson is down. I don't think the arm got broken, but some damage done. Only Storm coming up next. No Blackpool love for Danielson. Yeah, no Blackpool. Where's Wheeler Yuta? Where's Blackpool combat? What's happened there? Has there been a big falling out? What's going on? Maybe Moxley is off somewhere recovering from his massive blood loss, and that's why he can't help, says John. Watson said it doesn't make sense. We just saw Yuta. I'm sure Claudio is about. Does Blackpool Combat Club mean nothing? Where was the Blackpool Combat Club? I don't know. I mean, to be honest, since Regal left, I've found the Blackpool Combat Club a bit confusing anyway. I don't know what Danielson's doing. You sort of see there was some problems between Claudio and Danielson. I don't really know where that got to. Moxley has always felt like a bit of a lone wolf, but he's actually been with Claudio and Yuta. But I sort of feel like there is a split. I mean, we saw Danielson taking Regal's side. Don't think that was really appreciated by Moxley. Don't know. It's hard to know kind of where we are with Blackpool Combat Club at the moment. They certainly don't feel like a united faction. Like, you know, I really don't know. It'd probably be better if we just wrap that up, to be honest. Or you know, did something significant with it and pushed the story forwards. J14, shout out to you. Appreciate the support, buds. Hope you well. Hope you've had a good day. Travis said, where was Blackpool Combat Club? Why put him in a stable if they don't come out to help? J-Boy said, Davey Boy Smith Jr. has become all AEW and he is going to win the Rumble. Wardlow feels like those larger-than-life that could really grab casuals. Powerhouse Hobbs is another. They have the look of a Goldberg or a Brock or a Bobby. If built, they could be mega draws. Watson said, if this was WWE, people would be making a bigger problem over this. Luke said, hey peeps, I've got a question. I can't access AEW Dynamite or Rampage. I don't have cable for TBS and TNT. Is that the only way to watch the show? R.I.P. Jay Briscoe. Does anyone in America have an answer for Luke? How can you watch the show in America? I'm in the UK, so I can't really help. Let's help Luke. Let's get some answers for Luke there. How do you watch? People want to watch the Mark Briscoe segment. Understandably so. Let's help them. How can they watch it in America? If you're in America and you know where you can find it, I mean, to be honest, you might be able to find it on Watch Wrestling if you Google search that, but you did not hear that from me. I mean, that's just saying. You really can't get it, do you know what I mean? Don't want you to miss out on the Mark Briscoe segment, you know, just saying. Do as I do and watch online, says Luke. Watch wrestling. You can try. Do you enjoy watching wrestling? You enjoy watching wrestling? You ever Google search things you enjoy, like watching wrestling? Give it a go. Luke said, thanks, guys. Okay. I don't care what you think. Can I wrestle? No. There ain't no one stopping me from wrestling. So the doctor's saying to Danielson, in my opinion, you can't wrestle. Danielson fired up. Expose you to the whole world. I wonder if they'll pull the trigger. I mean, the ratings been a bit so-so, but I wonder if they'll go with Danielson as champion. Right, here's Toni Storm. Bryan sounds like nothing is going to stop him, but I can't tell. What do you think, guys? He seems very determined. MJF is sneaky, isn't he? I mean, MJF will not be giving up that world title easily. So I sort of feel like you could easily find a way of having MJF retain by, you know, putting someone with him. He could have someone come down and help him out. Pay the ref or something, you know? I mean, there's things that you could probably book to cheat Danielson. But the bigger question is, what does Toni want to do regards to ratings? Is he happy with where the show is? Is he going to stick with MJF and just keep building him? And, you know, is he going to have that patience? Or is he going to hotshot it and be like, no, we need to, you know, we need to go big here. I don't know when their TV, if their TV deals aren't up anytime soon, he might feel that he's got a bit more time. But if their TV deals are coming up soon and they need ratings, like we need to show like we can draw, he might be like, let's just go with Danielson for now. We can come back to MJF in the future, but let's go with Danielson for now. I think it's really interesting. I think you could make a real argument that they could go either way. It would seem too soon to take it off MJF, but you can always go back to putting it back on MJF down the road. Danielson's never had it. No, it's interesting. Ruby Soho. Tony's music reminds me of 80s Moxley crew. Right, here we go then. Toni Storm against Ruby Soho. We got 36 minutes left of the show, and we've not had the Mark Briscoe moment yet. It's Mark wrestled yet? No. Nope. Tim, shout out to you. I hope you're well. AEW normally are top 3 for the network. I don't understand the argument about ratings. Well, I mean, I think it comes down to the money. I mean, the more ratings you bring in, the more money that you're going to get. So it comes down to that. I mean, yeah, they're important for the network, and the network might not want to lose them. But equally, if you're drawing X amount in ratings, you're generating X amount in advertising. That is going to result in the offer being X amount. If you're getting 800,000 views, that's going to generate so much in ad revenue. If you're drawing 1 million views, you'd have to think that's generating more money. And so as a result, then, you could potentially get more offered. So I think the ratings are clearly important. I don't think it's as simple as just like, oh, they're comfortably number one on the network. That's a big factor. But I think there are some more facets to it. It would be similar to Randy Orton's first title run being a month longer, and that turned out okay, said Wrestle with Andy. That's good point. Good shout. BD storyline is starting to look like Terry Funk, where he'll barely be able to limp to the ring, but will continue to wrestle, said John. Against the ropes goes Toni. She hip attacks into Ruby. Ruby goes to the outside. It's kind of crazy to think I was in Birmingham at an NXT UK show, and I got to see Toni Storm against Rhea Ripley. I mean, you'd look at that now as being a bit of a, not a dream match, but like a bit of a, that'd be cool. Got to see it. Of course, both of them used to be in NXT UK. I think they faced a few times, actually. That was to decide who the first women's NXT UK champion would be. Ruby is down on the outside. Toni back in the ring. Days, do you watch club football? I watch Man United's. I didn't see the results today. I saw they were winning 2-0 at half time. I didn't get a chance to see what the final score was. I certainly didn't get a chance to watch it. 3-0 it ended. 89th minute goal. That's a good result, that is. That should mean that United will go through to the final of the League Cup. That's good. I felt like we'd got the game won. Saw we'd gone into the second half and it was 2-0. Chop coming in by Toni Storm. Forearm strike by Toni. Chill Dude said, is it me or is this show a bit boring? To be honest, I agree. I think it is lacking this week, but I think I could be wrong, but I think that if there's a week where you can just put a few things out, like you don't need to really give away anything too exciting this week. Maybe this is a really bad way of looking at it, but I sort of feel like you don't need a great episode because everyone is tuning in for Mark Briscoe. You could make the argument that people, are tuning in and aren't normally watching, so give them a reason to come back. I can understand that argument. But equally, if you've got some juicy stuff, you might also want to have that up your sleeve for next week. You know what I mean? Like, it just never ends, does it? Every week you've got to put on compelling television. So if you've got some good creative, some interesting things to like coming up that you want to do, like you could just push that into next week now, because everyone's tuning in this week for one thing, and that's pay respects to Jay Briscoe, Mark Briscoe on the show. You're going to get a good rating this week, regardless. So there's a few ways of looking at it, isn't there? You could look at it as you're going to get a good rating this week. You don't need to do anything else. Or you could look at it as you're going to have a load of people watching this week. Give them a reason to come back. Seems like Tony's gone down the road of, I'll just take the rating this week. Because there hasn't been any big OMG not in my opinion. There hasn't been any big OMG moments. There hasn't been anything that's going to make a best of AEW compilation that we've seen, Ruby getting up to her feet. Toni Storm is in control as we're approaching the final half an hour. Ruby driving Toni's head into the middle turnbuckle. Grabbing Toni, nice suplex. Looking for another one as well. Grabbing Toni, a few slaps, kick to the midsection. Plants Toni down, so Ruby in control. Something might happen at the end of the match, said to heel. Toni rolling up Ruby, and she's grabbing she grabbed a handful of tights there, but she couldn't get the 3. Kick to the midsection by Toni. Ruby, nice kick. Down goes Toni. 1, 2. Ooh, shoulder up. Shoulder up by Toni. Ruby grabbing the leg of Toni. Ruby going to the outside. Climbing up. Toni is down. Ruby is perched. Comes down. Toni moves out the way. Toni looking for a kick. Ooh. Right in her face. And Toni seemed to... I don't know if... Is this a work? Grabbed a hold of her nose there. Holding her nose. Can't tell if she's playing possum here. I think she is. Ruby is being sent back. We've not had a medic come and look at this. She grabs her, throws her into the bottom rope. Suplex. A possum. Definitely a work, said Jay. Over in the corner, Ruby. Oh, God, that was hard. That was hard by Toni. Big DDT. 1, 2. It was good by Toni, though. She did it well. Toni grabbing Ruby. Music plays. Britt Baker. The Doctor. Britt Baker's music hits. Britt Baker comes walking out. Okay, well, Britt Baker's on the entrance stage. Ruby, that's just provided a distraction, and Ruby has picked up the win. So Ruby wins. Britt Baker is hurt, but it's not stopped her just walking out. Ruby wins. Ruby Soho wins. A homegrown assist. Okay, well, Ruby gets the win, and we continue on. I'm looking forward to a Brit face turn, if that's what they're going to do. Undercover Manager said that finish was shocking. Maggie said, I don't like Brit. She is... MJF promo now. MJF backstage. Some people can't control their emotions. Esther. I've got taste. Think you're talented? You think it's a good idea to dance with the devil? You're very talented, but you're lacking upstairs. You think it's a good idea to dance with the devil? He's talking to Takeshita. You're going to keep on marching forward, aren't you, Danielson? MJF not wrestling is a waste. Why build him up to not use him? Do you know what, though? They showed his stats, and we were looking at those a few weeks ago. He doesn't actually wrestle that much. His Dynamite record is shockingly low of, like, how many matches he's actually had. MJF is, a promo guy. Is someone that comes out, cuts promos. Actual matches, you just don't tend to see that many. And in all fairness, if there was ever someone that would just not be interested in giving away his matches on Dynamite, it would be MJF, wouldn't it? MJF and Sasha Banks are probably the two that come to mind when I think, would want to charge people to watch them wrestle. They would just, not be interested in wrestling on Dynamite. If you want to watch them, you got to pay for the pay-per-view. That's probably why Sasha couldn't cope with being in WWE, because the fans didn't really have to pay that much for the pay-per-views. So, maybe she'd feel at home in AEW where it's, $50 or something for their pay-per-views. Perhaps she'd feel more comfortable there. But it makes sense, like MJF feeling that way. Watch the PMT interview with MJF. He talks about why he doesn't wrestle much. What's the PMT interview? I would charge people to watch me sleep, said Weapon of Mass Seduction. I would pay. Is it me, or did MJF's nose get bigger? Okay. MJF has recruited Timothy Thatcher. I don't understand. I don't understand. Why have they shot? Why have they told us? Oh, okay. So he's recruited him, but he's recruited him to have a match with. I thought he'd recruited him to be like by his side, but he's recruited him to have a match with Danielson. So Danielson against Timothy Thatcher then. So I was just thinking, I was like, if he's recruited him to be like his new Wardlow or whatever, his right-hand man, like it makes more sense to save that for the Iron Man match. Do you know what I mean? Like, have Timothy Thatcher get him. That's how I could see MJF retaining, by having someone get involved and, be by his side. He'd benefit from that. He's a smarmy heel. He's someone that's going to use every trick in the book to try and retain. Like, him being really by himself at the moment. It feels a bit weird. I'm used to him having people around him when he was in the Pinnacle. And, you know what I mean? Like, him being on his own is a bit strange. So I could see someone being by him, and like Timothy Thatcher would be a perfectly fine choice. Great. Moody, credible. Yeah, good. There's too many names are the same. Page, Ethan Page, Adam Page, Brian Cage, Christian Cage. Maybe. I don't think that's their biggest problem. I don't know that I look at AEW and think to myself, well, man, if there's something I could change, I would change the similarity of the names, I like the new commentary table. That's nice, isn't it? With screens on the front. That looks classy. Here we go, then. Here we go. 20 minutes left in the show. Jay Lethal comes out and he's got a Jay Briscoe shirt on. Jay's looking emotional here. It's obviously looking emotional. He's got the Jay Briscoe shirt, which you can get from AEW shop. Jay Lethal versus Mark Briscoe. Time for the main event, said Austin. Watson said, will you watch the KSI documentary? I'm not really interested in KSI as a YouTuber or influencer. I'm interested in like the YouTuber boxing, influencer boxing. It's obviously very popular, and he has got aspirations of taking on Jake and going up against Jake and boxing Jake, and I think that's very interesting. He's also talking about facing the likes of Tommy Fury or Tyron Woodley and like all that kind of stuff I'm into. But like, well, him and the Sidemen and all that kind of stuff, it's not really an interest of mine. Nice to see you back in the fake city. You should add me and some Daisy Dukes in the background. That's exactly what we need. Exactly what we need. Tahil said this is going to be emotional. Maggie said it's so sad. Brings it all back to how much Jay will be missed. I wonder if the Young Bucks will find a way to insert themselves into this match, says Corbids. I'll say this now. The show's going to get a 6.2. Main event will be rated separately for me, said Justin. That's probably a really good way of doing it, to be honest. Probably a really fair way of doing it. I don't think we're going to do scores for the show on this episode, to be honest. If you do want to score it, you can feel free to get your scores in now. I do think what we're about to see for this next 18 minutes is going to be very different, separate to Dynamite. I feel like what we just had was a normal Dynamite. What we're about to get now is far from normal. It's going to be, as you said, very emotional, very heartfelt. Jay Lethal just coming down, seemingly struggling to keep it together. Lovely, lovely video package earlier. Very, very, very well done. Very well done. We need a green screen of you in the ring during the middle of a Rumble match. If you want to see emotion, then that you would see emotion then. Me in the corner crying my heart out as I'm looking around at the likes of Brock, Roman, Gunther, all staring down at me. Be praying to all of the gods. This will get emotional, said Meave. Austin said that is a smart way to rate the show. Typical Summer said 7 for the show, but 100 for the main event. Jay said, Tommy versus Jake next month. I feel like it's going to be closer than people think. I feel bad if Tommy loses. Sounds like the whole family will hate him if he loses to Jake. Yeah. Oh, well, it would bring disgrace to the Fury name, wouldn't it, really? Right, here we go then. Mark Briscoe, Jay Briscoe, Dem Boys. Here is Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe making his way down. He's fired up. Chucks the Ring of Honor tag title in there. Gets to the corner, puts his head into the middle turnbuckle, steps up, fired up. Got both belts. He holds up both of the Ring of Honor tag titles. Bobby Cruz, Ring of Honor ring announcer. Jay Lethal is really struggling to hold this together. Just imagine Mark's going through a lot, but he's just pumped. He's pumped. One half of the Ring of Honor World Tag Champs. Great. Great reaction. Seeing a few teary eyes in the crowd, of course. Stepping forward, shaking hands with Jay. Jay's really struggling. Trying to get himself back together. Mark shakes Jay's hand before they start, and they lock up. Take over and kick out there by Mark. Mark getting back up to his feet. Well, I can't hear what they're chanting. They're chanting, "Thank you, Toni." I think there might have been a "Thank you, Toni" chant. "Thank you, Toni" chant, says Corvid. 100% of the proceeds go to Jay Briscoe's family. That is available at shophonor.com. In the middle. Plants him down. Hey, well, they're working at a lovely pace. Saying this, I mean, this already is one of the best matches we've seen. I feel like I'm really watching something here. I don't know. I mean, like, the crowd are really invested in it, of course, and obviously you've got the emotion and everything. But they're going at it. They're going at it. This isn't like, them having to, wipe the tears away or anything. They're like proper chucking each other around. This is a proper match. They're proper going at it. Oh, heavy chop coming in there by Mark Briscoe. Chop coming in by Jay Lethal. These two exchanging chops back and forth. Mark screams as... yeah, I mean, it's hard hitting stuff, man. They're proper just going at it. Against the ropes goes Mark Briscoe. Working with the crowd there. Man, it's a proper slobber knocker. Yeah, they're doing it for Jay to make him proud, said Maggie. Oh, it's great. It's brilliant. Drop kick there by Jay Lethal. Jay, they've got into a rhythm. They've got into a groove. Like, Jay was like so emotional before this thing started, but now he's there. They're both there. Mark Briscoe round the back elbow coming in by Jay Lethal. Lethal goes against the ropes. Nice forearm strike there by Mark Briscoe. He grabs Jay Lethal in the middle of the ring. Takes a second just to make sure the crowd are still with him. Goes for a net breaker. Gets it. Again, looks out at the crowds. I don't know what the future, obviously, is going to hold for Mark Briscoe, but if this is an audition for him joining up with like the Dynamite roster, he's excelling. He looks, I mean, it's unsurprising, isn't it? I mean, the Briscoes are fantastic in-ring competitors, so no one's shocked. But, I mean, he is showing that he absolutely belongs on this stage. Back elbows coming in by Lethal. Forearm strike by Lethal on the outsides. They've hit a rhythm, said Ellis Dub. AEW should bring Mark onto the roster. Yeah, yeah. Screams away there, Mark. I love his facials as well, man. It's just like, really. Chop coming in. Big clothesline. Step up enziguri. Mark Briscoe goes down. I think Toni will look after him. I'd be stunned if Toni didn't. I think Toni will look after Mark Briscoe. As I said, you can criticize Toni for a fair few things. You criticize his booking and maybe some of the way he acts sometimes and whatever. But looking after people in their time of need, he's kind of shown himself to really step up in those moments. Mark Briscoe is down and kicks out. Jay Lethal going for the cover. Let's go Briscoe chants. I put a little message out on Twitter. It's just a little joke. I was like, there'll be a riot if Jay Lethal wins this match. I mean, I can't imagine at any point anyone thought about Jay Lethal winning the match. But, yeah. Could you imagine? Crowds applauding away. Shot to the midsection there by Mark Briscoe. Drop kick there by Jay Lethal. Briscoe goes down. Lethal going for the cover to shoulder up. Going for the cover again and kick out there by Briscoe. Jay Lethal grabbing a headlock now. I mean, I honestly, it's just a great match. That's what we're seeing. It's just a great match. Elbow to the midsection and again firing in shots. I agree. Toni said he's going to cover all the expenses for the family, says James. Into the corner. Shot coming in. Mark again going up. Comes crashing down. Onto Jay Lethal. Mark Briscoe looking out at the crowd. The crowd responding by getting to their feet. Oh, beautiful. LA kick. Mark Briscoe back in the corner. Lethal over the other side. Briscoe collides into Jay Lethal. Bang. Is that like an open palm strike? Love the I love the vocals as well, It's like you can tell he's having fun in there, which sounds a real weird thing to say. But he's having fun. It's like, screaming away as he's delivering the shots and he's looking out at the fans. He's making sure they're involved. And this is just, experience personified. Again, so much noise as he was going for a net breaker, but Jay Lethal, backbreaker, flatliner, 1, 2, shoulder up. Imagine the heat someone would get if they interfered in this match. Good way to get Briscoe into an angle to be settled at a pay-per-view, said the Beach Kevin. The only concern would be if anyone would find it disrespectful. We were meant to be paying respects to Jay Briscoe, not setting up an angle. That would be the only thing, but that would come down to personal opinion, isn't it? I wouldn't have a problem with it. I think respecting Jay Briscoe is certainly our main focus here. But I also think, doing the right thing for Mark Briscoe as well. People want to see Mark get looked after. And if that's if an angle's gonna come out of this and he's gonna be able to go on and get to a pay-per-view and, do you know what I mean, have a run or whatever, I wouldn't look at it as being disrespectful to Jay. I'd be looking at it as, what better way to, honor Jay than by looking after Mark? Do you know what I mean? Jay, don't worry, Mark will be all right. I don't see that as a disrespectful thing. So I personally wouldn't have an issue with that, but there might be some that do. I don't know. Either way, look, I mean, we'll see. We've got 5 minutes left in the show. Right now, we're on the outside. Mark Briscoe being put onto the timekeeper's table. I don't think we need to do this personally. I know they're competitors and they're going at it hard, but like, sort of feel like something like this is a bit. Yeah. Against the ropes goes Mark. Oh, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I sort of feel like putting Mark Briscoe onto a table and getting ready to like drive him through the table. I don't feel like this is kind of the match for that. But, you know, I suppose in a way they're competitors and they're just going at each other. You know, this is what you do to win. And now Mark Briscoe is quite happy to do it to Jay. Mark Briscoe goes back into the ring. Jay Lethal is on the table. Briscoe up, elbow drop. I think what I would have liked there, actually, is I would have liked not Mark Briscoe to have got out of it, but for Jay Lethal to have got to the top, got ready to do it, and then been like, can't do it. Like, you can't do it because of the situation. You can't do it. And then Mark Briscoe's like, I'll do it. Beats up Jay, takes Jay Lethal on, and then he like does it. He doesn't have any problems. No hesitations. I think that spot I would have booked that way. But there's big it's weird because like talking about like little moments in the match and how you would book them and how they're going and all this kind of stuff, you can do that. This is not as heavy as I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be like, you know, the commentators really talking about a lot about Jay Briscoe. I thought that, you know, maybe the guys would just get a bit choked at times, maybe the pace. But this has been breakneck. It's been a great match. But it's felt like just a normal main event. That's what it's felt like. Big clothesline turning Lethal inside out. Briscoe double underhooks. Oh, massive lariat there by Mark Briscoe. Crowd are on their feet. We just had loud, "This is awesome" chants. Double underhook. He's got Lethal up. Oh! Drives him down. Mark Briscoe, 1, 2, 3, gets the win. Points to the heavens. And Mark Briscoe gets the victory. Both guys are down in the ring. Gets both of the Ring of Honor tag titles. I love you all. Mark Briscoe just saying a few words to camera. There's a Jay Briscoe graphic on screen. We've got the locker room that have come out. Lots of them wearing the Jay Briscoe t-shirt. Young Bucks on the stage. Adam Cole on the stage. We've got lots of... I think it's pretty much the whole locker room have come out onto the stage. Applauding away. Jay Lethal, I think, has gone back to getting emotional again. Mark Briscoe in the ring. He's starting to look a little emotional, maybe. That's how we do it, baby. People are applauding as Mark Briscoe makes his way up the entrance ramp. We're just seeing all of the AEW locker room. There's Toni. Tony's out. Calling it. A few days away now from the Rumble. Nice. Done really well. I mean, done really well, actually. That is probably as good as you could have done it. I mean, a really great video package, which I just loved earlier in the show. Then we obviously, I mean, the emotion was always going to be there, and that was, never in doubt. But I mean, they just put on a banger main event. Really fun match, really great match, and I sort of think, like, if you haven't seen much of, like, Mark Briscoe, I think there's loads that you've took away from that. I think you would have really enjoyed that. I don't think there'd be any complaints. Not that there would have been anyway, but, like, there would be no complaints if a graphic comes out that Mark Briscoe is all elite. And I don't know what he wants to do. I don't know what the future's going to hold for him. At the moment, he's obviously a tag champ. Will he get a new partner? Will he just surrender the titles? Will he become all elite? I mean, none of that matters. But looking at the caliber of, like, singles match that he's just put on there, I mean, that was brilliant. And then, the emotion, the respect afterwards, the locker room coming out, the graphic. Great. Yeah, really great. They did it really well. It was an amazing way to honor Jay. When did this power slap thing become a thing? I think last week was the first one. Ian Alexander said, I loved it. Nothing but respect. The show was still a 6 or a 6.5. Mandy Rose could bring back Playboy. Blaze said, super impressed Mark even did a fight this soon. True professional. Yeah, well said. Yeah. And I mean, he just looks super dialed in, super focused. Maybe, I mean, you kind of get the impression like that's what he's like anyway, I don't think he's someone that's going to, I wasn't really expecting him to be like in floods of tears. I don't know what I was expecting. I suppose you don't know how people are going to react to whatever, but like, them boys, they're tough, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, the emotion's going to be there, but like, he's got a job to do. He's gone out, he's done it. That's what we do. And yeah, fair play. Like, for him to go out and do that, incredible. To have a match of that quality as well, incredible. And it's all done with like the utmost respect, and of course, and yeah, it's brilliant. I don't know. It's hard to know what to say. It was just done so well. I wouldn't have changed anything about it. All just done so well. Tommy, shout out to you. Appreciate it. Tahil said, I liked the tribute video. They wanted this from an early age to wrestle and to be professional. Retire the titles with Mark having a tournament for new champions and belts. Make Mark all elite, says AR1. Briscoe match and Danielson match brought it from a 4 to a 7.5, said Chip Freshly. Big Time Back said, could this be the night that AEW does a million? Maybe, probably. There'll be people that tune in to it. I mean, whether the rest of the card was good enough to get anyone in, I mean, like, the million is going to be an average, isn't it? I mean, what I would say is normally your big number is at the start, and then it kind of declines down. So maybe they managed to get a big number. And of course, people are going to come in for the Mark Briscoe thing, and maybe that will secure the million for them. I feel like it'll do a good number. I think the Briscoe thing was massive. But not really about that, is it? I don't even know if it's... in a way, it's going to be about that for Toni because ratings are important, but it's also not going to be about that. This was even for Toni. I don't. Not a fiber in my body thinks any part of this is a ratings grab. Not a single fiber in my body thinks that Toni has done this or put it at the main event to try and get the rating. Or I don't think any of that's factored into his thinking. I could be naive, but I just don't think so. I just don't think so. I think that he is wanting to pay respect the right way, and I genuinely don't doubt that. So the rating will be whatever the rating will be. If it's good, great. If it's bad, well, whatever. Do you know what I mean? I think the more important thing is they've paid respect the right way there. There's not a chance it'll do 1 million, but the main event will get a good number, says Paul. Nelson said, I heard Hogan ran out of toilet paper. Huh? What does that mean? Honestly, who cares about ratings? Let's appreciate the show. I never needed you. I feel like that's a reference to something that my brain is just not remembering right now. I'm still thinking like about that and how it played out. And to be honest, do you know what I am thinking? I'm thinking, what do you do with Mark Briscoe? Really want him to be looked after, and I'm sure he will. I don't really doubt that he will, but like, I don't know what you do with him. Sort of feel like I think you have to just sit down with him and go, right, what do you want? What do you want? What do you need? What do you want? Do you want to be like, do you want to stay in Ring of Honor? Do you want to be a solo competitor? Do you want another tag partner? Do you want to be in a trios? Do you want to be in a faction? Like, what do you want? Do you want to retire? Like, what, are you done? Are you like, do you just not want to continue now without your brother? Or like, I don't feel like that was the last match that we saw of him. I don't get the impression that he's done. But I think like there needs to be a sit down conversation, doesn't there? Figure out what is it? What do you need? What do you want? What's next for you? And then do it. Do it. Whatever it is, do it. No one's going to begrudge him. Whatever. If he says, I'd love to have a run as the Ring of Honor World Champion, yep, done. You know what I mean? If he says that he wants to have a run as AEW World Champion, you go, okay, little trickier, but I think we can do it. I'm pretty sure we can do it. I'm pretty sure, like, him joining and us getting the right story in place to build him up to that, I think you could do it. Really think you could do it. Whether he holds it for a long time, obviously that would depend how the story goes, but like, him being around the main event scene in AEW, I don't think is that crazy. I really don't. But yeah, I think like there needs to be a sit down talk and see what he wants to do. He will continue. I think his brother would want that, says to heel. Justin said, I wouldn't blame him if he retires. It's not a right or a wrong, is there really? I mean, like, if he looks at it and goes, do you know what? I've had a hell of a career. I just don't know that I fancy being on the road and doing it without, like, you know, my brother being around. You'd go, okay, here's, you know, hopefully some nice money, a nice payoff, and, you know, thank you for your service type thing. You know, we'll always look to use you, bring you back for certain legend shows or surprise appearances, whatever. You know, you're always part of the family. But if he wants to retire, yeah, get it. If he wants to go and do some, as you said, you know, if he wants to be in a faction, done. If he wants, the only thing that you might, the only thing that you would look at and go, bit tricky, is him being AEW champion. That's the only thing that I could look at and go, that's going to be hard because you've got to introduce him to the AEW fans. I feel like all of what's just happened has sort of done that, but there'll be a good chunk of people that won't know about the Briscoes. But like, you know, in all fairness, they've just had great matches with FTR. The problem is they've just not been getting mentioned on Dynamite because the network wouldn't allow it. So it's sort of like, here's this guy that we've not really been able to tell you about, who's now all elite. So I feel like you'd have to do a lot of work to kind of get him up to that level. But I feel like in ring he's going to be good enough to get there. I feel like there'd be a story you could tell to get him there as well. I think it might take a bit of time. I'm certainly not saying like it'd be even this year potentially, but like I think if you Tony and you made that commitment that you would do that, I think that you could find the creative. You could do a story, couldn't you? Come on, we could all right now. We could all come up with a story that would get him to that title. Like, and that if you're a booker, that would be a challenge that you would enjoy. That would be something you'd be like, okay, yeah, this is interesting. How do we do this? We could do this. That's something that, you would want. That's one of those nice booking challenges, I think. Like, how do you do it? How do you make it work? How do you make it compelling? How do you, get him there? I feel like you could do it. As I said, once he's actually there, how long does he hold it for? It depends, depends what the ratings are like in it. It depends if the story has been a success and people are on board with it. But if not, then he doesn't hold it for very long. But I think you could do it. But that's the only thing that you'd be like, oh, that's a bit of a challenge. Him being a AEW tag champ, easy. Him being a mid-card champion AEW, easy. Him being like anything in Ring of Honor, easy. It's all easy. Apart from like him getting to the top title. But equally, you could do any of that, or he could walk away. And yeah, as you said, you wouldn't begrudge that either, would you? Mitchell said it was a tough watch emotionally. I texted my girlfriend afterwards. Reach out to those people close to you. Life is too short, says Mitchell. Well said, buds. Well said. I don't think I can add anything better than that, to be honest. I never needed you at all. It is kind of shocking, isn't it? Like how I never needed you. How these things can just happen out the blue. You do take it for granted. Like, there's no guarantees, is there, in this world? So, yeah, well said. Well said. Right, on that note, we're going to wrap it up. Appreciate people joining us, being with us tonight. I don't know what we're doing tomorrow, to be honest. I am just working on a few things. I've got loads of notes and stuff that I'm working on, so I don't know what will be on the channel tomorrow. But, of course, it's kind of irrelevant because Friday we've got a pretty big SmackDown, and then Saturday we've got a massive Royal Rumble, and then there will almost certainly be something on Sunday whereby we'll have like a reaction to it, or we'll do something. So big weekend coming up this weekend. So appreciate the support. I hope you enjoyed the show, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.